Rocky is going to WrestleMania again! And holy hell is The Miz and Daniel Bryan going at it right now. I will never not get tired of those two just going to town. They play so well off each other. It is not even funny. The Miz is outstanding all on his own. But him paired with D. Bri, holy hell. You'll be... Dude, I would, like, seriously, a whole effing week out of it. Go to the NXT TakeOver, then go to Mania, and then to Raw, and then SmackDown, and then one last night in town on Wednesday, go back home on Thursday, stream on Friday. Ew, I'd miss Fallout Monday to watch Monday Night Raw. I guess we'll have to take the show on the road or something. And I'm taking cranberry extract pills for my bladder, so I don't get another infection, so I don't get high taking those pills. Remember that one episode of Fallout Monday? Yeah, we're trying to stop that from happening again. And then I took some glucosamine pills because my knees are shot. Because I'm old. Despite Evelyn's best intentions of reminding me that I am not old. I swear to God, if I get arthritis in my hands, I'm gonna die. I mean, I can get knee replacement surgery. That doesn't cost a lot, right? JK. Alright. Guaranteed you'll be at TakeOver. Yeah. Amen, Tom!
Come on!
Come on! Alright, so we're going to go to WrestleMania. Alright, first of all, let's see how many we actually have left. We have 2 left. We have Pixel Rider and Foxamania. So... Oh, it's 1959, Hawaii gave Harris his statehood. Is this Star Fox Adventures? Man, someday! And, like, seriously, like, if Nintendo still has... I mean, there's no reason they shouldn't, but, like... You know, they really, like, in addition to making their own stuff, they should just get Grezzo or whoever the frick did the, Ocarina of Time Majora's Mask or thing. They should just go through, like, their entire GameCube, Wii, and Wii U catalog and just, like, HD-fy everything and put it on the goddamn Switch. Seriously. Do it! Gotta be on Skype for Star Fox Adventures? Soul American, let's do it! Because I actually... Pokemon Channel? I'd buy it. I'd play that. But yeah, like, I fired up Star Fox Adventures on the FrameMeister in widescreen, because I actually forgot that game supported widescreen. It looks pretty effing good. Like, Rare's last game on a Nintendo console, then it went out with style. Wrestling birthdays? Let's do it. And man time. So, I picked... Oh, sugar! Hold on. Before we get any further, 2 big things today. Of course, we all know that Shenmue... Hold on, we gotta switch here. Of course, we all know Shenmue HD 1 and 2 got released today. And, looks great for an unfinished game. Ouch! Hold on. Hold on. We gotta do this. Yeah, Robbie Rotten's no more. Safe homestead. You know, he had the same cancer that killed Iwata. How depressing is that? Where is it? There it is, Shenmue. Shenmue 2. So yeah, that's a thing. I got it. Happy Tuesday. This is why it gives me hope that maybe there's some kind of timed exclusivity for Shenmue 3 being on PS4 and PC. Wait a year and it might come to Xbox. That seems plausible. Why else would Sega go through the trouble to port these two to Xbox if they're not going to do the third one? And then, on top of that, there's this. A brand new Super Nintendo game in 2018. The Return of Double Dragon. Iwata died on your birthday? Oh. The legend continues. The two greatest martial artists of are back in Return of Double Dragon, an all-new adventure with awesome new moves, impossible new missions, and hair-raising cast of new enemies. Marianne, a beautiful policewoman, is a student of a kung fu and a part-time assistant instructor at a martial arts training school run by Billy and Jimmy Lee. A narcotics investigator, she has disappeared while attempting to infiltrate the ruthless criminal mob known as the Black Shadow Warriors. It will take all of your incomparable fighting skill and knowledge to find and rescue Marianne. Alone, or with the help of your brother, you will face the fearsome onslaught of the Shadow Warriors with the fabled power and ferocity of Double Dragon. So yes, this is a brand new Double Dragon game for the Super Nintendo, released in the year of our Lord 2018, and it's actually by Technos Arcade Corporation. Which is now the property of Arc System Works. So yeah, this is like a brand new game for the Super Nintendo.
A brand new game?
A brand new game. They made a new Double Dragon. Look who's here, everybody!
Is this okay?
That's totally fine. It's inside joke. The only person that would know about that is Shelby. Later inside.
There?
Wherever you want, man.
I'm so tired.
You're so tired because you just what you it was literally hell week for you.
Yeah, I've been up since let's say Tuesday.
I hope so. Otherwise, I went to the wrong stores today.
I haven't slept.
Here, let me scoot over.
I've been awake since 7:30 in the morning yesterday.
Holy S! That's not that is not okay. Yeah. But it's officially behind you, correct?
Yeah, it's behind me.
That
I have a tendency to look over at the screen to see where I'm looking at.
Yeah, that's fine.
Weird.
It's
just like, oh, hey, me, but I'm not looking at me like I'm looking in the mirror. It's, normally.
Right?
Yeah. I get to see how handsome I look at an angle instead of how handsome I look just direct.
There we go. Now we can see each other a little bit easier. Go to bed, yeah.
Go to bed.
Right? Read what you want to read! Believe what you want to believe! But go to bed. No, like you were working on what essentially would have been a thesis if this was your senior year.
Yeah, it came out. I only used about 25 or 30% of all the musical examples and material I used. But it still came out to 40 pages.
Oh my god! I've never written something that big. Hey, ABC Ton's back. What's up, man?
Yeah, neither have I.
Oh my god, that is absolutely nutter. So
what do we got?
So the new Double Dragon game. Oh, snap, the cartridge is red.
No way.
Way.
You know what this makes me feel like?
What?
So I submitted my paper at noon.
Yeah.
And since then, I've just been in bed the whole time watching angry video games.
Yes! Somebody send this to James. Look at this.
Jimmy and Bimmy?
Yeah! Yes. Just make the font really, really big. Oh, we've all done that. I've increased it to 11.5, and I've also done...
They do it by word count.
Oh, no! Okay, because I was like, back when they would just like have us like print it out, and then they got smart, and they said, send us the Word doc, and I was like... Shit. Yeah. Oh, snap. I'm sorry, Brandon.
Watch the language, mister.
Yeah, so I can't do that anymore. And then I got the manual. Normally I would do an unboxing video for this, but like this is more fun because I just got this from Amazon today. This actually came from Amazon. This was actually sold on an Amazon storefront. You know, this is the way Retrobit is or Retroism or whoever the crap. Yeah, Retroism. That's how they're handling it. So like, we got a color instruction manual, which is a lost art because it actually tells you what it is. It's not like 8 pages of like legalese. It actually, for an upcoming unboxing video that I haven't published yet, but look at this right here. It actually has Unholy Night, the other brand new Super Nintendo game that was actually released last summer. It's a fighting game made by a bunch of ex-SNK programmers, so...
So this is for Super Nintendo?
Yeah, it is.
But it's a new game?
Brand new.
Like a newly developed?
Newly developed.
That's cool that they're doing that stuff.
Yeah, because like... No, you...
Set off the Brandon alarm.
you can say it. One of us just has to press the button. Yeah, so expect this to come up on the showgram at some point. We'll have to play that 2-player because that's actually really cool. Because like the Super Nintendo was like, as we all know, that it's like it's a very, very powerful and versatile machine, but it spoke a very unique programming language, which is why it's taken so long for like brand new games to come out for it, because people figured out how to like decipher the Nintendo Entertainment System and the Genesis and the TurboGrafx 16 relatively easily, but the Super Nintendo was like, you know, just sitting there like...
Does that have to do with the lockout chip?
No, it actually doesn't, because even though it had
I
one...
only know that exists because of Angry Video Game in the Bible game.
Yeah, but it was just like the programming language that it spoke was like 6502 or something like that, when the Genesis and the other systems spoke a regular assembly language. So, you know, it was...
Yep, lost.
Yeah,
but I'll just take your word for it.
Well, it spoke Theorbo, and everything else spoke treble clef. Yeah, you know, so that's basically, it spoke a language that nobody else understood.
Same idiom, but different mediums.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
different idioms within a medium.
Exactly. All right, so...
Does anyone care to know what the name of my paper was?
Yeah, you want to go for it?
It's called... Progressive Compositional Conventions Derived from Rhetoric and Numerical Decorum in Lutheran Passion Music.
I don't think that
Progressive Compositional Conventions Derived... Say it 5 times fast. Yeah.
I was about to say, like, Twitter used to let you post only at 140 characters. I don't know if that would fit or not.
Yeah.
They bumped it up to 280. Thank Christ.
Yeah.
Now I can actually complete a thought.
Yeah.
What's a run-on sentence again? Vinny says I wrote a 15-page on James Madison's presidency and 15 pages on the war on poverty. ABC time, welcome back, buddy. When MagFest tickets are going on sale? I don't know, but it better not be before next Wednesday, otherwise I'm not gonna have money to buy it.
Oh, Boss Moss. I don't know people's first names. I just know their
Yeah, Boss Moss is Vinny. Who, like you two missed each other by like a day. It was that close.
Who's the big tall guy that had blonde hair that I met once?
Oh, that was Tim. Tim Smoot.
Is he in here sometimes?
No. He makes a Twitter so he can watch the MagFest account, so that way we can like coordinate like buying the tickets and getting the room.
Okay.
It's like a spy operation. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super Alpha 2 runs like S on the SNES. Well, I mean, like, they were using, like, 32-bit sprites, and that probably didn't help. But then again, Mega Man and Bass used 32-bit sprites from the PlayStation, and that worked out just fine. I don't know where Capcom maybe was just misallocating their sources. Is that why the only notable unlicensed game for the SNES is Super Noah's Ark 3D? Yes, actually. And the only reason they were able to pull it off is because, of the whole source code thing, like id Software did a port of Wolfenstein 3D to the Super Nintendo, but it was heavily censored.
Bad.
Right, yeah, it was heavily censored.
So they gave it to the Bible.
Correct. They gave the source code to them.
It was a learning tree.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Because I was watching
Wisdom Tree, right?
Where Noah's Ark is infiltrated by goats.
Is that the plot?
Well, I mean, at least on the first level, they're all goats.
Yeah.
According to James, but he's like, how'd that happen? I thought there was only 2 of each.
Oh my god!
So you're playing Noah, but you aren't killing the goats. You have a slingshot and you're shooting fruit at them, and it makes them go to sleep.
Because of course it does.
Yeah, of course it does.
Because video games. So there's a Screw Attack alumni named Jared Knabenbauer. He goes by Pro Jared. You want to check his videos out on YouTube. He does really good work. But he has a line that came up called "Screw Logic Because Video Games," and then eventually morphed into "Screw Physics Because Video Games." And you know, it's just it just, you know, when it doesn't make sense, screw the X because video games.
Yeah, you gotta apply that philosophy as he's trying to, like, make sense of the Zelda timeline because
the old video about the Zelda timeline was great. Like, I want him to redo it now that there actually is an official timeline.
Oh, there.
Yeah, Nintendo actually came out and said this is the order in which it happened.
But there's like a billion games.
Yeah, exactly. So what it is, it's actually
links
there's 3 timelines
that coexist in 3 universes, or
it's
or is
the
it linear over multiple generations?
well, he talks about the splittist theory and the linearist theory.
Yes,
it's splittist, but there's 3 splits. There's one commonality between all of them, which is the Skyward Sword game, and then things change after that. So it's but it's all like, crap, now I gotta do it all over again.
I don't like stuff like that.
I don't either, but you know, it's like, it's the only things that I'm missing.
Apologetic rhetoric for poor planning.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I've done everything else this DLC campaign has to offer. The only thing that is left are 2 achievements. 1, beating WrestleMania without taking damage, and 2, getting through this sneaking segment without getting caught.
No, when I said apologetic rhetoric, I meant Zelda, the poor planning.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, back in the day...
We gotta come up with something because we didn't think this out.
Right, exactly, because, like, back in the day, they were just making games for the sake of, you know, like, we want to make a game. And then the guy who now directs the franchise is a guy named Eiji Aonuma, who started working with Miyamoto back during the development days of Ocarina of Time. And as time went forward, he kind of became obsessed with continuity.
Yeah.
And when he was given the reins, he was like, I want to make this stuff make sense. So, like, little traces of that started to show up in Ocarina of Time, where all the sages are named after towns from Zelda 2.
Oh.
So little things like that. And, like, Majora's Mask seemed to have nothing to do with any of the other Zelda games until Wind Waker, where there's callbacks to the events of Wind Waker.
When's Error making a reappearance?
Who?
Error.
I don't know, but, like, he actually has a real name. Like, the
Error's a name, isn't it?
Well, no, it's a placeholder. Like, that whole line of dialogue is actually a placeholder. It was... He was supposed to say something else, but the script never loaded, and that's what the default line is, I am Error. So, like, you actually... Because you're not supposed to talk to him until after a certain event happens. But if you do find his house before it happens, that's all he can say because you haven't triggered the script yet.
He says something else later.
Correct. You actually go back to his house, and I think he tells you about how to cross the river or something like that.
Hold that thought. I'll be right back.
The timeline again just changed again. Yeah, just recently. Tom, you have Almighty Pistol. You have the Almighty Fist. Yeah, Vork, go ahead and post the link in the chat. Your Fallout video, because that, like, I was having an already good day at work, and then I saw that, and that just made it even better. It's like, whoa, what the hell happened? All right, so we got, hold on, we got, what do we, let's see here. Anyways, where's the first birthday? I missed it. Okay. Happy birthday for the man who was considered so bad and unready to be on the main roster. He was taken out of the WrestleMania 19 tag event with the Undertaker, Big Show, and A-Train. Nathan Jones. Wow. Okay. All right. Tom, Jeff Hardy keeps trying to jump off things. I mean, like, I love what Jeff Hardy's doing. I just don't want him to get hurt. Happy birthday to a man who the entire Hart family, he's one of them. Not much success outside of Stampede Wrestling. He was only in the WWF because of his brothers Owen and Bret Hart. Oh, Keith Hart, yeah. Cranberry pineapple juice. Delicious. And send out a Tweedly D since we are now live. Alright, anyways, let's do this. Oh, come on! Happy birthday to a tag wrestler who's won titles in Ring of Honor, one half of War Machine. He's currently in NXT, of one half of the War Raiders. The fiance is Sarah Logan. Raymond Rowe. Happy birthday. Tom, Spider-Man Far From Home is slated for July 2019. Well, that's cool. I really liked, scoot in a little more. I really liked Homecoming, and I really liked what his portrayal in Infinity War. That was very cool. So I really like to see. Didn't they say that they were gonna have like Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio or something like that?
Was Homecoming one with Vulture thing?
Yes.
Guy.
It was really good. Yeah.
Man, it was like as good as like it straddled like comic and comedy without like being tacky with all the comedy, but
yeah,
like it was just so good.
Yeah, it was.
So he's in Infinity. I don't know any of this stuff.
Yeah, Infinity War is the one that came out back in April, where it was like the big crossover where all the Marvel heroes are teaming up to stop Thanos. So it's not just it's technically an Avengers movie. But it's not just the Avengers. It's like other guys from the Marvel franchises.
Must have been expensive.
It really was, but the best part is that all of the characters were faithfully portrayed from their respective films, which shows the director's ability to adapt, but also shows that the actors truly understand their characters. Like, well, that's not the way he would say it. You know?
Not like giving the finger to the fans like Disney.
Yeah.
And Star Wars.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about my frustration with Star Wars during Fallout last night. So if you want to watch that tomorrow.
I hate it.
Oh yeah, it was. But I was being constructive. Like, this is what you do instead. You know, I wasn't gonna just sit on my soapbox and just complain.
I like The Force Awakens, but like.
There are things I like about it, but it frustrates me still at the same time because like
it's not like the original trilogies where you watch it and it gets better and you notice more things. You like it sucks more for me. I'm not, I don't want to speak for anyone else's experience, but I enjoy it less with subsequent viewings. In the past 3 weeks, I've watched Return of the Jedi 3 times because of.
Oh, because it was on TV?
Yeah. I was like, alright, I'll just go watch on a pirated video website like footlocker.ru.
Oh, are you?
Are you? Like Russian?
Right, President Trump's best friends right now.
Yeah,
Hey, did you hear his lawyer kind of turned himself into the FBI today? And he's testified, and he said he diverted campaign funds to pay off that porn star that he slept with.
Oh, is this Cohen?
I guess so.
Michael Cohen?
Yeah, but it's just like, yo, you have somebody under oath telling you that the president told you to break federal law.
Nice.
Yeah, so, yeah, it begins. It's gonna be interesting.
So going back to error.
Yeah.
Remember how in high school yearbooks you could have your name embossed on the front?
Yeah.
You remember my senior yearbook?
No.
It just reminds me of I am error.
Yeah.
Look what happened. What?
No! Oh! Hold on! Look at this! You're supposed to raise it higher. Nothing goes here.
Yeah.
They put that on there?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Instead of my name.
Oh my god. That
seems like some sarcastic, clever thing I would do, but I didn't do that.
Oh my god. That was their placeholder?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So.
Did I fight Swan in Fallout? I did, and he died very quickly thanks to Almighty Pistol! Like, seriously, it's like this giant super mutant. He's like 30 feet tall. And I got the drop on him, and I took him out in like 2 seconds. And I'm like, so this was supposed to be an epic boss fight, and I just like...
You should start using another weapon.
No! I'm having way too much fun.
Make it a little more...
I'm actually thinking about turning up the difficulty to try to offset that.
Oh, definitely.
Because, like, I've also found out the higher the difficulty is, the more experience points you get. Which, I'm saying, like, the it's getting a little. I'm trying to average leveling up once a stream.
Yeah, well, I noticed.
And it's getting a little harder to maintain that.
You also like waste any. Like I remember the first time you ran into Terminators, it was.
Oh my god!
It was very difficult. Now you waste everything.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? Last night I actually went back to that factory that had the Terminators in it because it was actually a part of a quest arc, and I was like, oh my god, all these memories are coming back. You know, it's like in that rifle that I used that helped me get through that whole confrontation. Turns out it's a hard spawning item, so it actually respawns on the roof. So I was like, hey, if you need a really good weapon to start in the game, go over to the fish factory and get on that roof and get that rifle, because I just checked, because I've been using the pistol so much, to see how many 45 rounds I have. I have got like 5,000 of them. So it's like, yo, I mean, that just shows you like how common that type of ammunition is, so you can actually like, you know, use it and not have to worry about like running out. Also, I found out there's actually a rifle that's kind of like the pistol that shoots 2 45s instead of 1. And I'm thinking like, yo, I could just like put a silencer on that and then put a recon scope on that and just do it all over again. Oh, it's Adam Pachiti's birthday as well?
Come on.
Oh, snap. Happy birthday, Adam. Pachiti Club. That was a good shirt. I like that. There's armor that can give me 300 defense. Is it like a full suit? Or is it just like a chest piece? Because I prefer like whole things. How many bullets did I use? I mean, I have it on video. I think it was like maybe 4. It wasn't a lot, and I didn't even have my sneak attack crit multiplier completely maxed out yet. I think I only had it like 2.8 or 3. It wasn't 4 yet. Walk with Pachiti. You can apply it to the whole suit? Oh, that's cool. Pachiti Club, name redacted pro wrestling. Rest in peace, WCPW. So these kids on YouTube, on a brand new channel from the What Culture Company in the UK, did a channel on wrestling, because apparently like the wrestling scene in the UK is like super huge, like it's very popular, and there's a bunch of independent circuits and all that fun stuff. And these kids decided like, we're gonna do a YouTube channel about wrestling, and we'll cover the WWE and the local stuff and all that fun stuff. And it became
WWE's in England?
well, they now have a presence in England. They have their own UK branch now. Which is the way it used to be in the United States back in the old days. There were territories. There was the Smoky Mountain Territory, the Northeast Territory, the Eastern Territory, the Mid-South Territory, etc., etc., etc. And then Vince McMahon Jr. bought the WWF from Vince McMahon Sr., called it the WWF, and then started going through and buying out the smaller territories, and that's how you got the giant company that they are today.
Oh, it's kind of like how there was AFL and the NFL.
Correct. Just like that. Of course, I forgot, like, the biggest one out of all the old territories, the NWA. How could I forget that? Well, anyways,
NWA?
yeah, the National Wrestling Alliance.
Or N-word
With attitude, yeah, that's not...
You know there's a Canadian Football League?
I did hear about that, because that's where, like, a lot of people go to when the Arena League is off-season.
Yeah, no, well, it's outdoor, and the field is wider. And I think
really?
And I think it's a tiny bit longer, or the same length. Oh, but it is, like, it's still 100 yards, but the end zones are much deeper, so there's more...
Damn it.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I jumped right into it, so that's my fault.
It's higher scoring because the end zone's deeper. It's easier for receivers to move around. Mm-hmm. But, you know, like, there isn't a football stadium in Montreal specifically for the team.
So what do? They just...
They play at McGill.
Oh my god, that is too funny. That's the school that he goes to.
Yeah.
Tidy Cat commercial? Did they just roll a commercial? I do have PUBG action, but, you know, it's Platformer Tuesday. I would play PUBG. We're going to play that on Survival Sunday. What, they played a Tidy Cat commercial on Twitch?
My cat's like one of those toilet paper commercial cats.
Really?
White and fluffy.
Oh, they played a Tidy Cat commercial on the WWF? Okay. That's funny. Was The Miz in it? Because god damn it, he'll be in a commercial for anything.
But the Canadian Football League, they only have like 8 teams, I think, so they have to be pretty creative with their schedules.
Oh boy.
So people aren't playing each other so often, I guess. But
oh, you know what? Speaking of football, did you hear the XFL is coming back?
No.
Yeah, Vince is gonna take another run at it, and they're starting in the season starts in either 2020 or 2021. They announced it earlier this year.
What cities are they going to be in?
They're going to try to have every major city as a mean, and their season starts around the time where their season ends, so they won't.
So they'll be in the spring,
right? And
isn't that what they did last time?
Right, but they're like really like Vince is like, we're not going to have the same mistake as last time. And I'm like, that's probably
the mistake last time was starting the XFL.
yeah, but like they were like trying to like make it like wrestling and have it like have storylines and
really?
Yeah.
I remember they could put wherever they wanted on it.
Right, and that was the part of it. But they're gonna like have it be like, you know, they're trying to maintain a level of professionalism to go along with it. But I was like, whatever, you know, just give us good football. But I think that they're gonna get rid of, you know, they didn't do a kickoff. They had like, it was like 100-yard scramble to get the ball. And whoever got that, you know, determined who would get first down. And, but there was also like, you know, like looser pass interference and like with like the WWE being under like major scrutiny for like concussions. And I was like, yo, how are you gonna like prevent people from like getting absolutely obliterated? Also, they're gonna actually have like actual like commentators and not like wrestling commentators calling football games, because that's what the other thing they did. They had Jesse the Body Ventura.
To get sports fans, they need to when in Rome do as Rome.
Exactly, because they had Jesse Ventura calling commentary, Jesse's great, but he's good at calling wrestling. Even if you're a football fan, you know, I don't think that's like the person to have to call a football game.
So, what's the name of that? There's a comedian, like on ABC or Monday Night Football, even in the 90s, they were trying to mix it up. It wasn't XFL, it was NFL.
No, it was the NFL, but I know who you're it was Dennis Miller, and he was calling Monday Night Football.
That was terrible.
And he was dropping...
I remember him referencing once his Chicago and Green Bay playing, and the other day he's like, there's more bad blood between these two teams than the Capulets and the Montagues.
Oh yeah, there was that one, and my favorite one was like somebody got sacked so hard that his helmet came off, and he said, I haven't seen heads roll like that since the Tudor reign or something like that.
Tudor dynasty.
Yeah, it was just like, yo, unless if you're like a student of history, nobody's gonna get that.
Yeah, the other announcer was just like...
Yeah, it was actually a recurring gag on Elliot in the Morning that they would play the "What did Dennis Miller say last night?"
Yeah.
And I was saying that's how I found out about that, because, you know, I didn't watch football back then. I barely watch it now, but it was just like when I heard that, I was like, oh, I know who Dennis Miller is, because he had specials on Comedy Central, so I wanted to know what he was saying, but I didn't want to watch football, so that's how I got my Dennis Miller consumption. Okay, guys, we're on wave 4. We might actually pull this off. So so these kids in the UK, they started up, like, doing a wrestling channel. And then they actually had the idea of, like, yo, we're, like, the most popular thing on our network. And I just got hit on wave 4. God damn it. You know,
5 waves?
It's 4 waves with 3 rounds per wave.
Oh.
And I was on...
Yeah, I think I've seen you get to the second to last wave.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, I'm sorry,
This is your
Becky
second
Lynch.
week on this, or third week?
Well, last week was just like to just beat it, and then I was like, well, we got time over, let's go for the achievement, and now we're just like this, So anyways, these kids, like, say, like, why don't we just have our own wrestling league, since the British wrestling scene is so hopping?
Yeah.
So the channel is called What Culture, so they called it What Culture Pro Wrestling. And they had, like, the Internet Championship. And it was actually had some, like, really good matches. And they had a bunch of, like, like people that wrestled for the WWE that weren't under contract on them make appearances, and it was just like, yo, they're getting some really like big names in here. Just like, go look at all that YouTube money, bringing it in. And then they had a huge falling out with the CEO, and then they all left. And now this company was left with this wrestling league that they're like, what do we do? So they just rebranded it, and now they're still going. And I have no idea how well it's doing now, because now I'm not invested anymore. But apparently, like, when they all left, the channel's become... They're all putting their efforts on one person. So imagine, like, you're the best, you know, guitarist in your section, and they're really counting you to carry the whole section. It's gonna get really tiring at rehearsal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what's happened. So
you know, but do you think? Whoops.
No, you're fine.
The trying to revive the XFL, you know, like, is kind of indicative of like wrestling and popularity being in decline. Because, like...
It might be because...
I mean, look, I've seen... I don't watch it all... Like, when I've...
Oh, gentleman's in the captain's chair. Hey, buddy.
I don't have a TV, but when I've seen it by chance, they film it in studios now. And, you know, like, and the audience is only, like, you know, like, 10 chairs deep all the way around the ring. And, like, in the 90s, they were filling up stadium, filling up a...
Oh, no, that's what they're doing right now. They're still selling out, like, Madison Square Garden and, like...
But for, like, every night when you watch Monday Night Raw, it was always like this. And the ones I've seen, it's in the studio with, like, 100 people in the audience.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for, like, WWF.
Oh.
So, it doesn't seem like it has the draw and the appeal like it used to.
Well, it depends on which product you're watching, because they actually have separate creative teams running up the different shows. So there's actually 3 programs now. There's Monday Night Raw, there's SmackDown, so Raw's on Monday, SmackDown is on Tuesday, and then there's their up-and-coming... It was originally a developmental brand, but the wrestling has gotten so good that... It's starting to, as far as the fans concerned, it's actually being considered a third pillar called NXT. And the difference is that Vince has total control over Raw, which is why it's so bleh. Then you have a bunch of ex-NXT creative people running SmackDown, but Vince still has final say on everything that's being done.
Oh, so maybe I saw like NXT or something?
Well, and then there's NXT, which is like much smaller arenas. That very well could have been in a studio. The ring colors are black and gold. That might have been what you saw, but the crowds are a lot smaller on that. And I went to 2 NXT house shows, and they were actually being held in college gymnasiums. So the crowd was smaller, but very intimate, and boy, were they loud. You know, like, and you saw these kids doing, like, backflips and suplexes and, like, breaking their goddamn necks, like, to pull off these moves.
Is WCW still around?
They've been dead for a while now. Vince bought them for $2.5 million. Yeah. They got, Ted Turner.
That's it?
Well, yeah, because here's what happened. Like, Ted Turner... okay, so it actually started in the 80s. Vince tried to buy the South Georgia territory, and he basically took over their programming, and people just stopped watching. They was like, I don't want to see these guys from the Northeast. I want to see my good old boys from the South. And that became known as Black Saturday. And Ted Turner, whose network TNT was carrying the show, World Class Wrestling, WCW, told Vince that he explicitly did not want him to buy it, but he couldn't stop him from doing it. Vince bought it anyway, and he ended up selling it back to Ted after a couple years when it became unprofitable because people just literally stopped watching. That became what we now know as World Championship Wrestling, WCW. Then the whole thing with Goldberg happened, and the NWO, and then you have these guys.
What happened with Goldberg?
Well, Goldberg was like a homegrown success story.
Yeah,
like,
well, I saw him once. I got to go see him, I went to a WCW, whatever it's called. It was at Patriot Stadium.
Oh, okay, the Patriot Center.
Yeah, Patriot Center. It was
Yeah.
like one of those.
So, like, he was a homegrown success story. You know, they never... So, in wrestling, you're either a face or you're a heel. Face is a good guy, heel's a bad guy. And they never had a dominant face character like him before that he would just go in, you know, kill the guy, walk out. You know, they didn't have anybody like that. And that was his big draw, that he would go in there, just murder people in, like, 5 minutes, and that'd be the end of it. And then you had Hulk Hogan, who turned heel and then formed the NWO, the New World Order, and you saw those
So he
stickers.
went from the WWF to the WCW?
Yeah, because he wanted more money, and Vince didn't feel like paying him, so he left. And WCW was all too happy to say, yeah, here's some money. You know, and they were like, you know, the name Hulk Hogan is synonymous with wrestling.
Yeah.
That got people's attention alone to start watching WCW. And then they took I think the CEO of WCW went to Japan, New Japan, and saw this gimmick where two guys from a rival company showed up in the more popular company as an invasion. And like, oh my God, we could do that. So they took Hulk Hogan, and then Diesel, Kevin Nash, and Razor Ramon, Scott Hall. They both got hired by WCW for more money, and they had them like, they're invading WCW. And then they formed the heel faction, the New World Order of Wrestling. And that became like the big super draw. And people started watching WCW more than WWF. And then Steve Austin happened, and that's when everything started to change. And that's when they started to consistently beat them in the ratings after the huge match that he had with Bret Hart. I think it was at Survivor Series 1996 or something like that. It was a mess. Steve Austin got hit with a ring bell. He started bleeding like crazy. Bret puts him in the sharpshooter. He passes out. Like, legitimately passes out. And it was like, okay, and the ref's like, yeah, match is over. It's like, I think he's suffering blood loss. He was fine. He just, like, you know, just got a concussion. So, so good times, and that's when he's, like, the ratings, like, started ticking up. And then they just, like, you know, Bischoff, the guy at WCW, is like, we need to spend more money. We need more people in the NWO. And it was like, and they were just bleeding money at that point. And then, at this point in time, AOL Time Warner buys Turner Broadcasting, lock, stock, and barrel. Ted Turner's forced out of his own company, and AOL Time Warner's like, what's wrestling? This is stupid. Wrestling is stupid. So they basically start taking the money away from that thing. And it's like, yeah, we're not just cut empty checks anymore. You need to, like, make a product. And they didn't, and they couldn't, and they couldn't, and they couldn't. And the money stopped drying up, and then by the time it was all said and done, Vince McMahon was able to buy them for $2.5 million. I bought my competition, he said on Raw one night. And he basically got,
and then
like...
AOL went under.
And then AOL went under, and now they're struggling. Oh, it was WrestleMania 13? Oh, whoops. I thought that was at Survivor Series. I guess Survivor Series was the Montreal Screwjob then. My bad. But anyways, yeah, that's what happened. So, and that's like, he like got their entire tape library, all of the videos of their pay-per-views, and like 24 contracts of wrestlers that were still on active duty for $2.5 million. So, you know, it's like, you would think, wow, this is a perfect opportunity to build the next generation of people, but no, that was just the beginning of him starting to be out of touch with the business and totally botched the reveal of, like, look at all these great talented wrestlers from my competition that are now under the same roof. Instead, what did he decide to do? He decided to embarrass them to remind them who they belong to now. Yeah, it's kind of stupid. It was, you know, ego. So that's why... when you look at a product like NXT, where it's so cutting edge and the wrestling is so good and the interactions is so great and the kids are so good on the microphone, the person who's running NXT is a guy named Paul Levesque. You might know him better as Triple H.
Yeah,
Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Yeah. So yeah, Hunter runs NXT, and that's why the product is so...
out of touch with the scene.
Yeah, exactly. So if you ever want to watch, like, wrestling and like, suspend your disbelief about, like, what it is, watch NXT, because that is some good stuff. There's a current feud going on between Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Garganos, and a guy named Ciampa, who used to be his tag partner, and he turned on him after they, like, lost a big match. last year, and they're like turning out like stuff that would be like career enders to anybody else. You know, like hard-hitting stuff that you wouldn't see anywhere else outside of like Japan, because Japan really doesn't care what they do to their bodies. They're just like, it's for the art, we'll do it anyway. But these, like, Garano and Ciampa are just like incredible. Absolutely incredible. Johnny is the ultimate underdog. Ciampa's like the unbelievably, like, dastardly bad guy. He's also got like a wicked beard too. So, you know, he's just like, yeah, you know, like in a Snidely Whiplash kind of a way. But they're both extremely talented athletes, so they can pull off all other moves, no problem. Oh, Tomasa Ciampa. I'm pronouncing it wrong, my bad. But yeah, their tag team was DIY. Do it yourself. So, you know, it's just like people are saying, just like get more of the NXT guys to work on SmackDown, because the whole joke is that if you're gonna go anywhere, go to SmackDown. But you know, SmackDown has its down moments too. So it's like, yo, can you like just stay at NXT forever? It's like, it really shouldn't be just viewed as a developmental brand anymore when they're turning out product that's better than the main roster. You know, like Silent Hero in the chat. Like, he just goes to the NXT shows. He doesn't even go to WrestleMania. It's like, this is way better. And like, there's this account on Twitter called Total Divas, and they used to just like post like funny video clips from like the WWF reality show about like all the women of the WWF and their boyfriends and husbands. And they're like, yo, we can make a lot more money if we post clips of like the wrestling show. And that's what they do now. They post animated GIFs from the matches, and it's just like, they don't give away the ending, but they just show like stuff you're like, oh my god. If this doesn't compel you to go ahead and watch and see the full match, it's just, I don't know what will.
Sounds like...
Ah, heartbreaker!
I've never seen you get hit by a projectile.
Yeah, that kind of sucks.
You know, man, imagine if that Twitter account was around when, like, those films like A Night in China came out and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That would have been something, wouldn't it?
She's dead, isn't she?
Yeah, she is. Like, when did China die? 2 years ago? Thank you for the, thank you for the Salty Bits AP seats on. Thank you.
Loads of money.
Thank you for the, boops, chomps. I appreciate it.
Oops.
Boop. He booped me. Boop.
What does that mean?
I'll have to show you the video. Yeah, China died in 2016. Yep. Now, like, back on the December 5th episode of Screwing Around, Sam Mitchell, has, like, this sloth puppet that he decided to dress up with, like, aviator sunglasses and a fedora, and it became a character on the show called Mog Slothman. Well, on the December 5th episode, Mog brought a friend. So Sam's voicing two characters, but one of them is Mog and the other one is this plush shark from IKEA.
Is that where the shark comes from?
Yes. And that's Chomps. And it's like, I am not from IKEA. You say that again and I'll boop you. Boop. You know, like, but it's like the boops contain different powers. They have the power to comfort and heal, or the power to inflict, you know, rightful deserved woe upon your enemies. But you see, Chomps is a special shark. He hails from Atlantis. He's a bounty hunter sheriff. The best of both worlds.
Naturally.
Yeah.
Sharks from Atlantis are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you do.
Yeah, as one does. From Atlantis.
Mm-hmm. Aquaman's the president. What the? What? What happened?
When they spawn.
God damn it, that sucks.
What was I gonna say?
China's the one who did the other sorts of entertainment, right? Right, yes.
Yeah,
there was One Night in China, and then there was Backdoor to China, and she even played She-Hulk in a video once.
Two.
Shows how much I know.
There's a sequel, I'm pretty sure.
I said something? Hold on.
Language!
There, Brandon, sorry.
You mean Backdoor?
Backdoor to China.
That's probably
Yeah.
what set it off.
There's a vault on the west side of Swan's Pond? I didn't know that. What vault number is it? We'll have to go looking for it, because the only vault I found was the Big Trouble in Little Trouble in Big China? Oh dear. That's suggestive. Vault 114?
I wish you could jump it and start beating on that guy's...
Yeah, for real. I actually thought the fight was gonna be with him. I was like, oh sweet, Lucky's gonna suplex him. Ah! See, like, the thing is, the controls are so responsive, so when I do screw- Oh! What the? I didn't know you could do that! Hold up! Oh my god. I wouldn't say that's a game changer, but now I don't have to wait. Ugh! Oh my god, 2-for-1 special! So, like, you know, when I screw up, it really is my own fault. But it's just like, yo, I didn't want to screw up. You don't know how to find it, but you just know there's a vault there. Well, that's good to know, because we've only been to one vault so far. It was the one that had all the raiders in it. I would oh, cripes. I would dread to imagine if a bunch of Terminators would get into a vault. What kind of bad things could happen in there. They're starting to wear body armor now. Yeah, so it's just like... It doesn't really stop Almighty Pistol, but like, as I'm looting their bodies, they actually have like this plate armor that kind of like slides over their arms. Almost like it snaps into place. So it's just like, huh! If I was using like a laser or like a plasma gun, it would probably like not do anything, because they all have like energy resistance. So like, you know, like plasma dispersant. Which is, I got something like that for the power armor. There's this, micronized silver paint that I have on it, so it actually makes it like super resistant to lasers. I'm pretty sure there's something I can get that would do something for plasma, but it's like you polish it, it becomes like a mirror, and like it just disperses the laser. Now I have no idea. Oh, that sucks. So I have no idea if there's any actual science behind that, but it sure sounds cool.
Well, who cares?
ABC,
video game.
Exactly. Screw logic because video games. And ABC Ton in the chat. His name is also Tony, huh? But is it resistant to Chomps' laser? I have no idea.
Sharks with laser beams.
Sharks with laser. Yeah, he actually, when Chomps was here on a Fallout Monday, he was talking about how he always wanted a laser. You know, and he also wants to know how to shoot bees from his mouth. I can't think of something more terrifying than a shark. They can shoot bees from its mouth.
Or what was the line from...
I wanted freaking sharks with freaking laser beams on their
There's a Saturday Night Live skit, like, it's called Little Things, where it was just like a monologue.
Oh, yeah, deep thoughts with such and such?
Deep thoughts.
Yeah.
It's like, you know...
Sharks with laser bees?
Well, it's just like, what's more terrifying than a shark? Maybe a shark riding on an elephant, because if it didn't eat you, it would trample you.
Yeah, there was a, yeah, that was great, because, like, there was, this, you remember Wario, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he got, like, a spin-off on the Game Boy called WarioWare Mega Games Incorporated, where, like, he goes ahead and, like, made, like, video games with his friends, like, little games, so, like, and the whole plot's, like, he's tired of, like, treasure hunting because it never works out for him, so he, like, I'm gonna make a video game instead, and that's, like, literally the plot of the game. So he calls up all his friends to make, like, games for the Game Boy with him, and it spun off into, like, a game for the Game Boy Advance, and a game for the...
So he's sentient? He's aware that he is a game?
Not really, but, like... The joke is that, like, the Nintendo console exists in his world too. So, like, instead of, like, making a game about his exploits and, like, retelling him to make it look like he's the hero, it's like, now just make a game about, like, silly stuff and people buy it and make money. So it's self-aware in that aspect, but that's about it. So it has a very successful sequel on the GameCube, and they have one on the Wii, and that's where things get interesting, because the one on the Wii has an announcer that sounds like the Deep Thoughts guy explaining you how to play the game, and since you play the one on the Wii with the Wii remote, it uses the motion sensor and everything. It's like, You know, like, the waiter, hold the form baton in your hand like a tray, like a waiter serving food to the patrons and the guests, and they'll look on you with awe and say, such poise, such grace, such hors d'oeuvres. And it's just like the funniest S imaginable. He's like literally the best, like the whole game's great, but yeah, he's literally the best part of the whole game. Laser bees, oh my god, yeah, Chomps, the possibilities. A Megalodon? I heard the movie The Meg with Jason Statham is actually quite good, and everybody should go see it. But then again, outside of, like, war, I don't think Jason Statham has ever done a bad movie. Because, like, you know, like, he got... The first movie that I was aware that he was in was Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. And then, of course, you know, the one that really put him on the map was the, Snatch. Yeah.
No.
Not really a sequel, but a rejoining of the vast majority of the cast.
Yeah, I mean, Snatch is actually a really, I can't remember it now, but, like, there's a really fascinating numeric relations between the characters. Like,
A numeric relation.
Numeric relations, like Boris the Bullet. So
Boris the Bullet Dodger.
yeah, Boris the Bullet. Boris the Bullet.
No, it's Boris the Bullet Dodger. It's like, why does he call him the Bullet Dodger? Because he dodges bullets, Avi!
Is Bullet Dodger one word?
Maybe?
Let's look it up. Let's see if it's
And then Bullet Tooth Tony and Abby.
Bullet-Tooth Tony.
Bullet Tooth Tony. Played by Vinnie Jones, the best freaking character in that movie. And yours says, replica on the barrel of your gun, while mine says Desert Eagle .50. Vinnie Jones is a badass. He was also very good in, the frick was that movie called? Oh, it had Ben Affleck in it, and he died in like the first 5 minutes. It had the Tremor brothers in it. Smoking Aces! Oh, I think he maybe was in the sequel to that. I can't remember. But yeah, Vinnie Jones is pretty much gold. Cien taps to Rusev. Happy Rusev Day! Happy Rusev Day. And how was Becky Lynch tonight? You know, it's like they're asleep until you get close enough, and then they start shooting at you. No! Okay, there we go.
So, does Boris the Bullet Dodger have partners?
No, he operates alone as far as I'm aware.
Okay. Bullet-Tooth Tony
Yeah.
has just 2 henchmen.
No, he worked alone too,
He
because he got hired by Avi to get the diamond back after.
And what's the Brad Pitt's character?
The Pikey. I think his name was Mikey.
Yeah, and then his 2 guys that accompanied him had single names, right?
There was Turkish and Tommy.
So,
But those were the guys that worked with Gorgeous George. They were the boxing promoters.
Yeah, but Gorgeous George worked with someone else, right?
Bricktop.
Bricktop.
Yeah.
So my thing
Who
was
played the bartender in Lockstock.
Yeah, because so those 3 guys, they all have single word names: Turk, Pikey, whatever. Mm-hmm. Then
Bricktop went by another name too, but like that's how he's addressed mainly by almost everybody in the movie. But anyways, George, Turkish, Tommy. Right?
I had it all figured out, but so 3, and then Bullet Tooth Tony, 3. One person that works independently but has a 3-word name for one character. And then somehow I worked out Boris the Bullet Dodger. He took the 3rd letter of each of those persons' names to explain why he had 4-word name for a single character. So it was everything was in proportions to 3. The
Oh,
number 3.
interesting.
Yeah. But I was also doing a lot of drugs back then.
Come on.
I can't remember, but like I used to talk about it like to one of my theory teachers, and he's just like, "What? That's just a movie." I was like, "But yeah, it doesn't matter if it's a movie or complicated classical music. You have these numeric relations all over the place."
Mm-hmm. You know, that's really interesting. I wonder, can somebody find out if his name just flew out of my head?
Forrest the Bullet Dodger?
No, the direct. It was just there.
Oh, I had it.
He also directed Layer Cake. Paul Ritchie.
Paul Ritchie.
Is Paul Ritchie on Twitter? I imagine he would be.
You know what's
No, not Paul Ritchie. Guy Ritchie. Guy Ritchie.
You know what's
Who's
like
Paul Ritchie?
one of the worst films ever made,
What's that?
and it's by Guy Ritchie.
Oh dear.
That King Arthur movie that came out a couple years ago.
The one with Russell Crowe?
Was Russell Crowe in it? Maybe.
Russell Crowe was in the King Arthur movie.
In the past 2 years?
Oh no, that was somebody else. You know what? Mom didn't like that movie either.
No, I went and saw it in the theater. It has like giant snakes the size of this block.
Really?
That he fights, and it's just stupid. But it has those classic montages that you associate with Guy Ritchie. But it's just
or the super fast cutaways to like different
Yeah.
story arcs converging at a single point.
yeah, it's tired and doesn't fit that story at all.
Now I'm interested to see how much of a train wreck this really is.
No, it's really bad. It's like not even. It's not like it's bad yet entertaining. It's just bad.
It's
and-
just consistently
and
bad
not
all the way in.
entertaining.
Well, that's unfortunate. That's god damn it, that was such a bad jump. So that sounds like something that should be on Mystery Science Theater 3000 is what you're saying.
Yeah, or Cinematic Titanic. It's.
The Russell Crowe show.
I think it was in like what was it called, developmental hell for a long time.
Oh no, that's not good.
Um,
When you can't get behind a single vision of what you want to do for your movie.
or production hell, but it's the idea just sits like people hold the rights on it for a long time before it even goes into production.
Yeah.
So
There's been a couple of things like that, and I just wish they wouldn't do it at all. Like, the Max Payne movie was in developmental hell for a very long time before it finally got kicked out the door. And they casted who I think would have been the right person for the job, Mark Wahlberg. But the movie was really not good. Really. And it sucks because, like, you play Max Payne, and if you're going slow, that game is like 8 hours. You can condense that to 2 hours easily. You know? Yeah, the game is not terribly long at all. There's actually like people speedrunning it like in an hour and a half. But you know, it's a shooter with some light detective puzzle solving. But you know, like there's nothing that couldn't be solved in like an exposition or like a narrative or something like that. So it's just like, you know, and it's, you know, about like a guy whose family gets killed and he's trying to like find out who, and there's a conspiracy that some mega corporation is funneling a military grade painkiller to try to be the new street drug, and just like, you know, it's like, how do you screw that up? They found a way.
no.
Ever seen Final Fantasy IV run in 2 hours? No, but that sounds ridiculous. Tornado Tag on 205 Live tonight? Yeah, that's the other good one.
I don't think I've ever played Final Fantasy IV.
It's pretty cool. I mean, like, 6 is still my favorite, but 4 is you play as...
wait a minute. I'm thinking... so 6 as in the Japanese number.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we...
So 4 would be number 1?
4 would be 2.
Yeah, I've played.
2 was the first one on the Super Nintendo.
I played the American 1 and the American 2.
Yeah.
So whatever the other first one. Right.
Yeah, so that would be 1 and 4.
So the American 1 is the Japanese one?
Correct.
And I want to play the Japanese 2 and 3 then.
2's a little rough because it was kicked out the door 9 months afterwards.
Oh,
but the story is really
the,
good.
Which one's with the crystals?
All of them.
Come on.
Oh.
Yeah, they crystals were a
What's
central.
the one with the Onion Knights?
I think that was 3.
That one's awesome.
Yeah, because that introduced the class system, and you could like change your stuff all over the place. 5 also had the class system as well too, and that really wouldn't make an appearance again until
the one
12.
With the Onion Knights one is the first time you can call like
chocobos.
Well, not just chocobos, but like a dragon, like
summons.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought the summoner characters sucked the first one, but the later ones that use magic and summon were pretty badass.
Yeah, there's a character in 4 called Rydia, who ends up being a very powerful mage later in the game when she grows up. But when you first meet her when she's a child, all that she has is her speciality is call magic, and she can basically summon creatures to fight for her instead of just attacking. And in 4, magic is so abundant, you really don't have a reason to not use it if they have it. So like early in the game, it is not uncommon to have Rydia just summon a chocobo and have it peck its eyes out of whatever you're attacking. It's actually really funny.
Because I can't remember the...
Rydia's box. Stop it! She's a child! At one point in the game.
The one with the Onion Knights, like the summoner, sometimes the attacks turn on you.
Oh no, really?
Yeah.
Oh no!
With the first class that can do summons, it's like
catch as catch can.
With
oh, that was close.
Yeah.
That was stupid close.
Earth summons, like where it causes earthquakes and shit.
Nice.
It 50% or a percentage of the time it will hurt you. And
yeah, that's the thing with casting a move like Meteor or like Meteo. Sorry, sometimes it'll.
I can't believe I knew that.
But yeah, like that's that stuff. You can hurt you too, and Explodier, and oh man, you know what? When your situation stabilizes, you know, like how I keep talking, was like, hey, you know, it'd be a whole lot of fun to like play like Secret of Mana and like co-op that stuff from cover to cover. They actually remade the game completely for the PlayStation 4, like with voiceovers and everything.
Is it good?
It's basically a screen-for-screen remake, so don't expect anything new. But you know what? I don't think I was. But
it's just with current graphics.
Right, yeah, 3D polygons and everything. You can even have the original music play if you want.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I was thinking, like, if that were ever to come to pass, we could either play on your copy for the Super Nintendo. Ah, sugar! We could either play it on the Super Nintendo, or if I ever get a PlayStation 4, because I bought it, because shockingly it was only $30. And I was like, I'm like, this is going to be like $500 on eBay one day.
Yeah.
That's not why I'm buying it. I just don't want to pay $500 later for it. Yeah.
I know you're not into emulators, but I really enjoy the Japanese editions, the Secret of Mana series.
Oh, Secret of Mana 2?
I think there's 2 more.
Because there was Seiken Densetsu, which was on the Game Boy. We knew that as Final Fantasy Adventure.
I think this must have been for a console because it looks much more like Secret of Mana.
Right, and then there was Seiken Densetsu 2, which was originally going to be called Final Fantasy Adventure 2 over here, but that became rebranded Secret of Mana. And then there was Seiken Densetsu 3, which was supposed to be Secret of Mana 2, but it never got released.
Yeah, because there's so many different characters. There's not a linear storyline.
So I've been told.
Yeah, it's really cool. So you choose one character and you follow that, then other characters that you would play as an antagonist, as the protagonists have an antagonistic role at times against you. Where, so like, depending on what characters, if I remember right, like if you don't choose one character, they overall in the story, they will have a parallel role to you, but it will
Hey, Mushi!
it will provide some dissonance between you and them, and some friction in parts of the story.
So it encourages multiple playthroughs based on the different characters.
I think I played it through 4 different times with it's 4 similar storylines, but you don't get to do all the same things in each storyline.
Gotcha.
Like, I really like the one of the werewolf, like this guy that is a werewolf. You know, if like you don't choose him, it's kind of like this loose cannon kind of character, and is really like angry and resentful. But if you play him, you learn it's because like before he was a werewolf, he had like a dog, and the dog gets killed by the werewolves, and then he gets bitten and he becomes a werewolf. But in the course of the story, somehow it happens that I think he remains a werewolf, but like there's some way that his dog gets resurrected, and so he gets reunited with his dog that he lost. But you don't see that. That doesn't occur if you don't play him.
Wow.
You know, and so there's I guess what I'm saying, there's different playthroughs provide vastly different amounts of character development.
I can't believe that didn't get released over here. Like, Square Enix was like on top of the freaking world for almost 10 years, and it started with the Super Nintendo, so I'm flabbergasted that never got released over here.
That's really good.
Because, like, what we got over here instead during that time was a game called Secret of Evermore, which plays like Secret of Mana, but has nothing to do with Secret of Mana. You're this kid who hears about this old man's, he's like, not really a magician, but like a machinist almost. I really don't know how to describe it. But like the kid like sneaks into his place and like tries to find out what's his deal is, and he's basically like if Thomas Edison and Nikola Tesla did the fusion dance, but throwing a dash of magic in there while we're at it. And you and your dog get sucked into this time vortex, and you get sent into varying points in history, and your dog is with you, but when your dog went through the teleporter, it like absorbed like some of the DNA of the dogs of the time, so your dog transforms with you as you go through time. And like when you first find what you think is your dog in the Stone Age, because it has like the personality traits of your dog, it's like, if you're my dog, you'll fetch this stick, and he's gonna throw like this log at like this dog that looks like a giant wolf, and I'm like, yeah, this is gonna go over real well if this is not your dog, you know. But it's like it's crazy, but it's got like everything from like high fantasy weapons to like you get a bazooka as one of your first weapons. You know, when you're in the doctor's mansion.
Yeah, it seems if you approach that guy from that way, you can't see his projectile.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I really should go like the long way around and approach him from the right side of the screen going left. Yes, shape-shifting doggo. As memory serves, Secret of Evermore was a US exclusive. Yes, it was actually one of the first games that Square actually commissioned a North American developer to make the game for the American audience. Because while we were like starting to embrace JRPGs back then, they still weren't the mega seller that they were in Japan. Like, now we love Final Fantasy over here, and they were like pushing Dragon Quest VIII like super hard at the time of its release. And I remember that because I was working at GameStop at the time. They were pushing that super hard. Like, they were actually saying like, this is the national holiday in Japan when this game gets released. 12 million people are playing this game when it gets released. Blah, 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 all this stuff. And Dragon Quest didn't really catch on over here until like, what, 4 or 5 years ago? Now it has like a very dedicated following, but nowhere close as the fanatical following that they have in Japan. But, you know, it's just like, you know, it's like, it wasn't like like Secret of Evermore wasn't like Baby's first RPG, but it was like, it was an RPG that was made intentionally with the American audience in mind. If you want Baby's first RPG, that would be Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. It's very simplistic. It tends to get a really bad rap from a lot of, like, enthusiasts because of how oversimplified it is compared to other Final Fantasies. But, like, the story is still pretty good for what it is, and the music is awesome. Legitimately awesome. But, you know, it's, you know, Final Fantasy with training wheels. You could steamroll it in a couple of hours.
I still get Yada.
Secret of Mana makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end every single time. Like, that was like a whole family affair. Like, I tell them this all the time. It actually wasn't my game. It was actually yours. You were the one that asked for that, I think, for your birthday that year.
I got it after I had sinus surgery.
Right, so it was a whole family affair. I played it, you played it, and our stepbrother, Brian, played it. Probably the most out of all of us. And he named his character Bob for some reason. I never understood that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, he did that with Zelda too. It wasn't Link, it was Bob. And then it became Gurren later on, but it was Bob for the longest time, and I never understood that.
Yeah. You know, one thing that, like, is I find cool parallel ideas that happen in, say, video games and...
we got it, we cracked the code.
Say, opera is,
the opera from Final Fantasy VI.
that's just kind of funny.
Stupid Ultros!
No, but...
Killing my party, turning everybody into imps. Anyway, you were saying?
No, so conventions that are used to identify characters sonically. So, or if something bad's happening, or something that elicits like in Secret of Mana, elicits like a sentimental. If the scene's sentimental or something kind of tragic's is happening, ya da dee da da, and then that's called a motif.
Oh,
and that's used in opera. So when a character comes onto stage, let's say like, very obvious example of this.
Did you hear what's getting a switchboard? Yes! Grandy and Grandy 2! I'm so excited! Sorry, anyways.
Like in other popular genres, like...
Mushi, I love Surge, yes!
Like film. That's Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And so that originates in opera. But you see it in film, and you also see it in video games.
That's actually what George Lucas called Star Wars. He didn't call it a science fiction movie, he called it a space opera.
Oh,
I mean, clearly it was inspired by, like, Flash Gordon and stuff like that, but that's, like, he never, like, he would never, like, in interviews call it, you know, a piece of science fiction. It's a space opera. And I'm like, yeah, I can dig that. The way the music is interwoven into everything.
Space opera, but kids movie.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, as great as it is, he's like, this is a kids movie, you know? And that's one of my problems with, like, the new movies. Like, they walk, like, it can be a kids movie, like the original trilogy. It certainly is that, right? You know? But it's you know, it's not just that. It you know, it has a duality, you know, to it.
That was bad timing.
Where, you know, that the new movies just don't achieve. Like, you know, I'm a liberal guy, but like all this social
be careful. This is a hot bucket of contention right now.
No, I agree with just about every principle that is put forth in that film.
Mm-hmm.
But when if I go to the ice cream shop, I want ice cream and not a steak. If I go to a steakhouse, I want steak and not ice cream.
Okay.
You know, and like, I feel like, you know, it just,
Burger King has Surge now?
yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Like, for instance, there's because, and I say that because, like,
I like where your analogy's going so far. I feel less concerned now.
and also they treat the audience like you're stupid. Like, they have to, like, bang you over. I'm not going to point out specific examples in the new movies, just because maybe it's a hot topic, but they have to make it so blatantly obvious. Like, say, for instance, like, in Solo, a Star Wars story, like, where, like, the female droid's like, we are sentient, you know?
I actually thought that was kind of interesting because
Well-
that's never really come up.
No, but, like, so, like, it's just, like, it's, like, just so in your face. And, like, the original trilogies did, like, it's, like...
It made you feel bad for droids, but that was really rubbing your face in
Yeah,
it.
so it's
Because
pointing
that
out-
was... Did you notice that in all the Star Wars movies, with the exception of the new films, there is one random act of droid cruelty in all of the movies?
I know, that's one.
And it always makes me feel uncomfortable because, as far as I'm concerned, robots are people too.
You know, it's just like, it makes you, like, it's just like that. It's so... It has no subtlety to it.
Yeah.
Now, like, let's say...
Instead of casually proposing the idea of equal rights for
here's
droids.
where, like, a subtle way to approach the same idea. Droids walk into the cantina. We don't
serve your kind here, right?
You know, what is he referencing? It's only been 15 years since the Civil Rights Movement where
Oh my God, you're
blacks
right.
couldn't go into a diner. You know,
People were talking about that on
but
Twitter
they are,
today. Yeah.
You know, it's just, but it like, you don't need to like be so blatant with it. It's just like, that's it. Like, you know, it's you know, what's the things that capture the droids? Jawas. What's the big Jawa ship thing? What's that analogy?
Sandcrawler.
What's the analogy for?
Slave ship.
Slave ship.
Oh my
but
God.
They don't say, hey, buy our slaves. We got these droids that you can use as slaves.
I will never be able to watch that scene the same way again. I just
What do the droids have on
restraining bolts.
restraining bolts?
Oh my
They
God.
don't say, hey, buy these droids as slaves.
I am never going to play Detroit Become Human.
But
I do not support David Cage or any of his works except for the game with David Bowie in it.
So all those ideas are put forth in the original trilogy in subtle ways that don't use like a narrative that treats the audience like they're an idiot that can't pick up on it. And that's what happens over and over again in these new films. You know, it's just like they have to like spoon feed they spoon feed it to you to such a point that it insults your intelligence. Where the original films make the same point, but you know, require you. I mean,
I didn't pick up on that at all until you pointed it out that way.
You don't even need to. You don't even need to say, "Oh, that's the analogy."
Mm-hmm.
You see the injustice.
I saw the injustice.
You
Yeah.
see the injustice
Because
and,
like
you
Artie's
know,
just minding his own business and he gets jumped.
Yeah, and yeah, it's just like I mean, it's just full of, like, I mean, everyone points out that, like, the fallacy of the argument that, you know, that, like, there's like, oh, well, you know, that science fiction now is receiving resistance because of a strong female character. I mean, that's very obviously can be debunked just by the character of Leia.
Yeah, exactly.
She's someone that could be like sitting, using her position as royalty to not be on the front lines. But you know what? She gets wounded. She's, you know,
Twice.
yeah. She continues. Yeah, she gets shot twice in the films.
Yep.
And You know, she's
and tortured off camera. People forget about that.
Oh yes,
That's right. She got interrogated by the interrogation droid.
But they don't have.
With a very, very clever jump cut right at there.
I guess
the door
yeah,
closing.
with that, like the actions are much more potent than like
Fudge pops.
this spoon-fed narrative. You know.
Yeah.
So.
Also, you know what? Just to bring it back to should they be treating droid violence the same kind of violence as it is people?
Come on.
Because spoiler, a droid gets shot and its legs get blown off and it gets dragged back to the ship to try to rescue it. If that was a human, that would have been like NC-17.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I'm horrified. This droid is jacked up. And they're desperately trying to save it. And it is just like, if that was a person, this would have been NC-17. Imagine a kid watching this and like gets emotionally attached to that character, and then blah, 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 blah. All that happens. Or K2SO from Rogue One.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, some people would call him the best character of Rogue One. I think the best character in Rogue One was the old version of whatever her name was, because they've reshot the movie, and that pissed me off because her little origin of her because like the original pitch of Rogue One was the rebels that rebel, like the ones that are like, you're a loose cannon, we can't trust you with this super sensitive mission, and they go and do it anyway.
Yeah.
The reshoots removed that completely, and it was like, yo, this is super boring now.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, you take something as epic as stealing the Death Star plans and you make it, like, not interesting anymore. How did you do that?
Yeah. I'm gonna complain a little more.
Okay,
like,
that's fine.
Going back to that droid that I can't remember
How would
his name.
How would we rate Alien then? I think that's good enough to be a hard R.
The original Alien?
Yeah, the original Alien.
Oh, well, there's a strong female lead character.
Yeah,
Ripley. That just through
that
action.
Had 4 movies.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, like...
Shout out to Sigourney Weaver for blazing trails starting back in the 70s.
Yeah.
Jesus.
But, like, here's another example of where I find, like, providing, backstory and spoon fit, like augmenting lots of unnecessary narrative to kind of create a point. Like there's this implied relationship, whether the droid, it's fancied by the droid or real, between Lando Calrissian and
you know what, I was just like, how would that work? It works.
Okay, so they have to create this whole thing to show that maybe droids and people need to be thought as equals. So like it becomes this, it's a subplot, or like, right. You know, and it's just like, and it kind of drags on and it keeps coming up and up. Let's say in A New Hope, you know, like it's done in like the smallest.
Hi, Beryl.
Smallest passing gestures. When Luke gets the droids, first thing he does is just pop their string bolts off and throws 3CPO into a oil bath, treating them with dignity and respect.
Right.
Or when R2 gets blasted after the Death Star run, he's like, he's so worried that he's been hurt. You know, but like it doesn't have to like create this like subplot, it's just like these passing, I think that's so much more effective.
Yeah, and the thing is that that whole thing with the droid relations, that became kind of a joke online, but people were like, yo, this is like weird. Do they really mean that actually happened, or is that something that Leet came up on her own? Because she's saying that she's like, that she and Lando are like, he loves her but she doesn't love him, all that kind of thing. Well, I mean, I don't know how sophisticated Elite's programming is, but the last time I checked, the droid cannot express love like that. Unless if that's something new in that version of Star Wars. But there's the other thing, shortly before, homing shots, shortly before the release of Solo, an article got posted saying that Lando Calrissian is now pansexual. Do you know what pansexual is?
Everything does.
Right, exactly. And I'm like, I don't know if that includes droids, but it just seems like they did that to justify that scene, to explain its palatable awkwardness.
Yeah.
I think this might be it. No! No, there was one hiding in the corner!
Yeah, it's...
Murphy's death in RoboCop. Okay, funny story about that. That was one of the scenes that originally got an X rating, so if you watch the Criterion edition of the movie, the unrated version, that was the version that Paul Verhoeven wanted the theaters to see and couldn't. They actually had to film it from a different angle to get that R rating, so, yeah. Anyways, moving on.
And why is, like... The Millennium Falcon just looks so awful in that.
Yeah, and here's the thing. There's a major continuity error already between Solo and The Last Jedi. Mm-hmm. Lando says he added an escape pod in the mandible, and I'm like, that's not where the escape pod is. Yeah. We've played X-Wing, TIE Fighter, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. That's not where the escape pod is, and that's further reinforced where Rey ejects herself in the escape pod in The Last Jedi! Yeah. So, no! That's stupid! I mean, it looked cool to see it all gussied up,
I didn't like it.
Well, I mean, like, it had to start somewhere.
Well,
but there's
it's
another
nice
continuity.
That it looks shiny and new, but, like, it's also thinner. It's not, like, top to bottom. It doesn't have that kind of... You know how it has the Millennium Falcon has a bit of an arc to it? It's much more flatter and sleeker.
Well, there's a couple of things that were not there that were Han did some modifications of his own. So you may have noticed that it only had a singular gun turret with one cannon, as opposed to having two quad cannons. Playing X-Wing Alliance, you and I both know that the YT-1300s only come with one turret. You have to add that your own. But it actually has the bay pod for that. As far as the mandible goes, I was never under any impression that thing had any space there. In fact, if you watch Return of the Jedi, that's where the missile launcher is for your concussion missiles and your proton torpedoes. So putting something like an escape pod up in the mandible doesn't make any sense. No. But, you know, there's Han put some heavier armor on that. But here's the thing that I'm having trouble to come to grips with. Canonically speaking, they established that the YT-1300 scene entering Coruscant is the Millennium Falcon. So that's in Revenge of the Sith. So that ship was already in service 40 years before Lando ever got his hands on it.
Oh, it has.
And it was already beat up. So we don't know how old it was before it was even that, which means he would have had to restore it himself out of his own money. And then they go ahead and beat it up in the movie just to say, like, well, this is how Han got it. No, Han got it that way because he just didn't feel like paying money to repair it. He figured better shields were more cost-effective than reinforcing the armor plating.
That movie just sucks. You know, like, okay.
Like, I didn't hate it, but, like, it frustrated me so much. Like, you and I both know the Imperials never occupied Coruscant. What's the first thing you see in the first 10 minutes? Stormtroopers not Coruscant, Corellia. Stormtroopers on Corellia. Are you kidding? The Empire had no presence. They tried to blockade the planet. Corellia pointed all of their ships and said, try it.
Come on.
You know,
that's why they were neutral during the entire conflict. They sold their ships to both sides. They didn't care.
You know what? Also,
since Tom is the Iron Man, does that make Tony the War Machine?
Yeah. Okay, so going back to Corellia then.
Yeah.
One thing that that movie ruins.
Yeah.
in terms of like.
Oh, I'm sorry, not 40 years, 20 years, but still, we don't know how old the ship was by the time it was in that movie.
Okay.
Anyways,
so we're
my
talking
bad.
about space operas earlier.
Yes.
And kind of really cool intellectual.
Tom, stop ranting about Star Wars. It's jinxing you. I'm sorry. It's just a coincidence. It's been 2 days. 2 days ago, wasn't Solo meant to start a trilogy? Yeah, it was. But considering how soft it was, I don't think it'll happen. But I almost kind of want them to do it anyway because Ron Howard was hired to fix the movie that was broken. I would like to see him actually do a Star Wars movie from cover to cover rather than being brought in to fix something. I want to see his vision of what his Star Wars movie would look like. Because, you know, Ron Howard, until he got brought on to do Solo, the last time he worked on any Lucasfilm project was Willow back in the 80s. So it's been a long freaking time since he worked on anything with them. Anyways, you were about to say.
Despite his presence, you know, it ruined us. Like, one thing that was ruined, it ruins a Star Wars tradition. It actually, the origin of that story ruins an effect using the trilogy and what we're talking about, operatic influences in films. Mm-hmm. So the motivic don 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 dee don is used to that's a theme associated with Darth Vader.
Right.
It's the characters don't hear it. We hear it, so we know what's going on. Mm-hmm. Luke has his own musical theme.
Yep, the power of the Force.
Yes.
You hear it in A New Hope on the Death Star run. You hear it in Return of the Jedi on the sail barge. Yeah.
You know, so,
I'm getting goosebumps. Stop it.
So these are rhetorical effects used to elicit emotions in a listener in a film.
This is what he's going to school for. It's great. Anyways.
But the Solo story ruins that when Solo goes to sign up and the Imperials are playing the Imperial March as a recruitment song.
Yeah,
so now
it broke the fourth wall in the worst way.
No, I don't know if it broke the fourth wall. It took something that was
that was ours.
It was a motivic thing. Yeah, it makes.
Yeah, Willow was really good, Bushi. I love that. That was actually for the longest time. That was our lazy Saturday afternoon movie. Get some of those Mrs. P's pizzas. Yeah. Put those in the oven and watch Willow because it was always on UPN for some reason.
So in terms of artistic conceptual level, the Solo movie destroys that. You know, forget about plot and storyline like that. It ruins it on from a filmmaking and artistic tradition. It's that's really terrible.
Yeah, and another thing that and it didn't seem to bother a lot of people, but it bothered me. And speaking of motifs, what happens at the beginning of every Star Wars movie? The crawl. Rogue One ended that, and they said for the Star Wars stories, they are not going to do that. That pissed me off because every single game we've ever played had a crawl.
I didn't even realize that it didn't have a crawl.
Yeah, it just had text and saying it's a time of war, blah 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 blah. Okay, why couldn't you do that in a crawl? You know, that's dumb. Every single game we ever played, even dating back to the NES and DOS, had the crawl. The Dark Horse comics had a page in the inside cover of the comic that was the crawl. The crawl's important! You took it away, put it back! There was your opportunity.
Was it in Solo?
Nope. No. It had a single screen of explaining where in the universe you were and what was going on. And to me, you know, to tag along with that, the only thing I think the Star Wars movies have never been traditionally good at conveying is the passage of time. In Empire, Luke actually spent a couple of weeks on Dagobah. You know, to the casual, if you read the book, you would know this, but to the casual watcher of the movie, it seems like it was a couple of days. So when he said the line, "But I've learned so much since then," you know,
I always felt like watching it seemed like it had to be months.
It was closer to 3 months because it would have taken Han that long to get to Bespin just on sublight speed alone. So, I mean, he was there for a long time, and it's the same thing with the amount of time that has passed between the Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, the amount of time that Rey's on that planet, you know, I have to assume that she's been on there for a couple of weeks while everything's going on. But the thing that they don't show again is how long Rose and Finn were away from the fleet. I mean, seriously, that was a couple of days, not hours. It's just, like, that's the one thing that those movies as a whole, if I have an overarching gripe about them, is that they are not good about showing the passage of time. The only time you would ever know how much time has truly passed is if you read the novelization of any of them, because Lucas actually wrote the novels. They were edited by somebody else. So, you know, that's how I know all this stuff. And there's, like, all this, like, when Vader's talking to Luke and says, join me, it's your destiny. You know, that sounds like, to somebody who's seen the movie like 8 bajillion times, it sounds like really, really corny and jive and all that fun stuff, because we're not like kids anymore going, oh, he's so scary! You know, what if he turns him, you know? That's him doing the Jedi mind trick. He's trying to persuade him. He's not just saying empty words. And there's a scene that's deleted from Return of the Jedi that's on the Blu-ray. It was the last scene to be cut, so it's actually in still relatively good condition. And I actually hope someday Disney actually reinserts it back in there, because it changes the entire movie, the tone. Okay, so it starts out the same. You know, Vader shows up on the Death Star 2, inspects the place, tells the guy that the Emperor's coming and he's not going to be so forgiving, and then he goes to his meditation chamber, and he starts communing, and he's like, Luke, join the dark side, it's your only way. Cuts to Tatooine, Luke's in a cave, and he's like, suddenly, he just jolts alive, he's startled, and he's like, because he actually hears Vader, and he's wearing all black, which means he knows he can hear Vader, and suddenly, you're like, wait a minute, what's his allegiance? Yeah. He hears Vader, he's wearing black, what's going on here? Yeah. And then he looks back down and he's tinkering at something, and then all of a sudden, it's his new lightsaber. And then he puts it in R2-D2, and then they leave. Huh. And there's a shot of the Millennium Falcon and an X-Wing in a canyon in Tatooine. Huh. Now, we've seen this picture before. It's the very last screen in Shadows of the Empire. Oh, yeah. Where Luke and Leia are saying, like, I can't believe Dash didn't survive. He was such a great pilot. So, we actually saw a scene from a deleted scene of Return of the Jedi 13 years after it's happened, but it wouldn't be seen for another 15 years until the Blu-ray release. Yeah. Before we'd actually seen where that still image came from. You know, that's interesting. Seriously, after you watch that, like him using choke on the Gamorreans and going in there wearing all black, it changes the complete tone of the entire movie. For the better, as far as I'm concerned, but they cut it out because of time. Yeah, because it shows that has a potential to swing. Correct. And which makes the whole part, the whole thing where he chooses not to. Right. And there's that whole part where he's standing on the staircase and the shadow's like creeping over the left side of his face, right side of his face, you know, like it makes that scene so much more powerful, because from the very beginning, you know he's loyal to his friends, you know he's going to go save Han, but where is he on his allegiance to the Force? You don't know. Yeah. And it just, like, you know, you don't question it. But after seeing that scene, you do, and it's really, really cool. Speaking of deleted scenes, you know, like a really good missed opportunity in the latest. Aren't the old games legacy now? Yeah, but they really should not be. The second most recent bad Star Wars film, whatever it was. Last Jedi? Yeah. There's a scene where, I think, y'all just quoting movies now? I think it's after Leia gets sucked out into space, which was ridiculous. That part where she wakes up, she hears Luke's voice. And, like, while she's in a coma, there's a dialogue between the two of them. Like, oh, we had to cut that out because we didn't have enough time. But we had enough time for the whole ridiculous casino thing. Yeah. You know, like, where's their priorities? Yeah, it's really, really dumb. And you know what really pissed me off? Benicio del Toro's character. Like, he's like, oh, who are you defending? These guys are selling your stuff to the both sides. Again, pisses me off. The TIE Fighter's made by Senior Fleet Systems. The X-Wing's built by Incoming Corporation. Two completely different companies! Nobody's selling stuff to the both sides!
Yeah.
God damn it!
You know what? Like, the whole appealing to nostalgia thing and neglecting, you know, like, results in neglecting technological developments that are still canon in the Disney universe. For instance, in Rebels, the TIE Defender is in episodes. Yet, every single TIE fighter, there's a homogenous... the TIE Fighter fleet is homogenous. It's all the base level TIE Fighter. So even in Rebels, which takes place way earlier, that you see the most advanced TIE Fighter ever developed in the New Order, which has all these new fancy ships, which are useless, like the Dreadnought, as demonstrated. They use the most archaic of fighters, just for the sake of for nostalgia's sake.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just like, you know...
Yeah, and it's really crazy because, like, when you and I played TIE Fighter, and we were, like, so excited to finally start flying TIE Interceptors instead of TIE Fighters.
Yeah.
And then, like, we got, like, one campaign or something like that, and they show us, like, hey, guess what? We got something better than that. What could be better than the TIE Interceptor? TIE Advanced, which has been retconned into TIE Avenger, which I'm okay because they actually talked about that. They said the pilots nicknamed it the Avenger, so I'm okay with them calling it that.
Because it made mainstream after the Death Star.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
you know, but like,
and so they did that, and then we didn't get the Defender till way later. So chronologically speaking, the Defender was conceptualized and released in limited number deployment between Empire and Jedi. So Rebels takes place before New Hope, and it's there! Yeah. Guess who's also there that shouldn't be there at that point in time? Thrawn! Yeah. He was sent to the Outer Rim territories by then. That's why when he came back, he's like, yo, what happened to Coruscant? Why is it occupied by Rebels? Yeah. You know, it's just like, hey, it's cool that you brought those back, but you did it for the wrong reasons. At least, like, Thrawn's portrayal was very consistent with his character from the Timothy Zahn books.
Yeah.
Like, literally the best part of that season.
Yeah, his obsession with art, you know.
I know, right? That was the one thing that I was worried about, that they weren't going to nail about him.
Oh, yeah, no, they get him down really well.
Yeah.
Do they use the same voice actor as...
No.
Because I'm listening to the audiobooks.
From the books, maybe.
No,
but
because the audiobooks.
Because like in TIE Fighter, he was like, "This is an interesting development. Their over-reliance on racial technologies makes them vulnerable to missiles." He had a very like not deep voice, but it sounded refined.
Yeah, but like you can listen to him on YouTube. The audiobooks.
You know what? It never occurred to me that you might be able to listen to an audiobook on YouTube. Yeah. I'm sure somebody's uploaded it, but that actually makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I think Heir to the Empire is 12 3-hour videos on YouTube.
Oh boy.
Or 10. But yeah. And the guy that, and it's really cool because one voice actor does all the voices.
Oh, that's cool.
Leia, Solo, Luke. He does the Wookiees.
Oh my gosh.
He's very talented, but his when he does Thrawn, it sounds a lot like Rebels. You know what? Like, actually, one of my favorite Imperial non-capital ship, you know, that I'm sure will never make an appearance was the assault gunboat.
Oh, yeah.
That was just like...
That was... Yeah, the first time we found those things in X-Wing, we were like, the F is that? We had no idea what it was. And then we found out it had 2 ion cannons, 2 laser cannons, and like a payload of like 16 torpedoes. We're like...
Yeah.
Yo, what the hell, man?
Yeah, I mean, it can dogfight too with
That really
I
surprised
mean-
me. More maneuverable than a Y-wing by a country mile.
Yeah, I mean, you can
It was a big ship too.
Yeah, you can dogfight X-wings with that. I mean, you're outclassed against A-wings. You know, like if you have to fight more than one A-wing at a time, you're gonna, unless you have concussion missiles.
Yeah, then you can just light them up.
But yeah, it was a pretty cool ship.
Yeah, and then there was the missile boat, which was just pornography at that point.
The missile boat. I don't remember. Oh yeah.
It removed some of the upper structure just to
Yeah.
have two massive launchers above on
I forgot about the missile
what's the top of a ship? Ventral,
The dorsal.
dorsal structure had two of the, and then on the ventral structure it had.
The dorsal fin.
Yeah, it was just.
Dorsal your back?
Yeah, dorsal's your back. It started with a consonant from the beginning of the alphabet. I just couldn't remember what it was. But yeah, it's just like there was that, and like man, just all that stuff, and you're like, yo, that's another thing when Finn and Poe escape in the Force Awakens in that TIE fighter. First of all, when did TIE fighters become two-seaters?
Yeah, I think they were just sitting
Second
on
of
top
all,
of each other.
yeah,
weren't they?
no, there was two seats because apparently they have gunners now that have mag pulses. I'm sorry, what? Did you guys just get rid of bombers altogether and just put everything on fighters?
No, there's bombers in the new movies, I think.
Yeah, there are, but it's just like, why are you arming the fighters with mag pulses? Unless if they're going after capital ships, which means that's standard equipment. That's kind of silly. Why is there a gunner?
Yeah, unless they're way bigger.
Right,
Well-
and
Why invest in a gunner and not shields?
that's what I'm saying, because that was in the Balance of Power expansion. I can't remember the name of the admiral who did it, but his fleet all had, because Senior
Yeah, TIE
Fleet
fighters
Systems,
had shields.
right? Because Senior Fleet Systems actually had a module that was empty, because there was the console on the right that was just a steel panel.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it was like that even in TIE Fighter. But like when you got to play Balance of Power, that panel wasn't there anymore. It actually had a shield strength indicator. That guy actually bought shield generators on his own money for his fleet because like, my pilots are important. Which was like the first time I remember an Imperial officer actually showing any signs of humanity towards his crew. Granted, like, never mind how horrifically violent their ending was. You basically send that Mon Calamari into a sun. Jesus Christ, how... That's morbid. But, it's just like, you're talking about, like, doing stuff for nostalgia. TIE Defenders were just super expensive to make, so I would never expect to see them in big numbers. But, like, you would have thought the Interceptor would have become the standard model across the entire fleet by then.
Yeah.
But no, they're still using that same frame, that same structure, that apparently has more guns, a gunner, mag pulses. Oh, and apparently there's atmosphere in them now. You don't have to wear a suit, but you make all the Imperial pilots wear a suit so they can be a faceless person that you don't feel bad about when they die.
So,
Did you notice that?
yeah, I mean, we're rebels, you can always see their face, so you feel empathy for them. Because you always see the sparks flying on
Yep.
the back of their necks as they get...
Oh god, that
flames.
trauma, like a Star Wars, like A New Hope.
Yeah.
I remember watching that on Betamax.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
and you see it over and over again.
Right,
in
and
Empire Strikes Back.
it traumatized me because that was the first time I saw a human actor die on camera. Was when Vader choked that dude out. Who coincidentally, that guy's name was Captain Antilles, but no relation to Wedge Antilles, just another character. But just like, and that was like, yo, that was pretty bad. And just when that's like fading from memory, that even happened, like the X-Wings start getting shot up, and I was just like, I'm like 8, and this is like a horror movie to me.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
it was freaking traumatic.
Yeah, you see, you see the sparks starting to fly all over them, and they start punching forward,
Yeah,
and then
and-
it cuts out, and you see the outside and
Yeah.
disintegrate. The new TIE fighters have gunners.
Yep. Which doesn't make any sense to me.
Why don't you ever see the gunners doing anything in the dogfights.
Well, and the other thing is, you never actually see them with a gunner in any of the movies since then either. Like, you can see the gunner scene, but they're always flying solo, which made zero sense to me. So it's just like, did you just do that just so you could have Finn and Poe have a means to escape because them escaping in a troop transport wasn't cool or dramatic or anything like that?
Yeah.
And notice how they're using what I presume are concussion missiles to shoot them down. We both know that a single concussion missile, not even an advanced concussion missile, a single concussion missile is more than enough to completely destroy the hull of a TIE fighter with no shields.
Yeah.
They should not have survived that fall to Jakku at all. You know, regular concussion missiles are proximity detonation, advanced concussion missiles are hit to kill. You know, they were within range, that should have killed them. Oh yeah, and they had ejector seats.
Yeah.
Parachutes. When did all this happen? Jeez Louise.
Well,
Was there like this big paradigm shift in the Empire after the Emperor died?
No,
that's like, we value our pilots and our troopers more now.
No, that's just bad story writing.
Yeah,
it's what's called a convenience. When you ignore convention to make the plot possible.
Yeah, I mean, that's annoying, because, like, J.J. Abrams is a really good director. I mean, I like him, and I think he did good with what he did, but it's like, it makes me just wonder, like, the people that wrote the screenplay, it's like, did you guys, like, grow up, like, reading Star Wars, or did you just, like, or did you even read the Bible that George put together? You know, like, there are certain things that you guys are just flat out ignoring, which makes it even more funny when you go back and you watch A New Hope, and... You know, outside of like one or two scenes, how much they got right that would be consistent with the rest of the original trilogy and the prequels, that they didn't have to go like, oh, that was an error, like the dude getting his arm cut off and there's blood. Like, there are some people that said, you know, that's an insect race and they don't have central circulatory systems. They have like a book, like a cricket, like,
yeah,
blood goes from top to bottom. They're trying to say, like, maybe his circulatory system was like that, and that's why the wound wasn't cauterized, and that's why he bled, you know? I'm like, that's plausible. I'm not going to say that's the right answer.
In A New Hope?
Yeah, in A New Hope, when Obi-Wan cuts off the dude's arm in the bar, and they're trying to explain, like, why is there blood if the lightsaber cauterizes wounds on impact because it's a laser?
Yeah, I mean... Seems like such a small detail.
It is, and I'm able to forgive it because it's just supposed to show that Ben is a capable, combative person. Yeah. Let's pretend you haven't seen the prequels. You don't know if this man's capable of that. Oh, homeboy just straight up cut that dude's arm off. Yeah. You know, that's what that scene was to show, that he has a weapon, that he knows how to use it, and he can defend himself. Those three things are accomplished in that scene to give him credibility. But you don't know how combative capable he is until he actually fights Vader later on.
Yeah, so like things like that, like,
I'm still perplexed about those drop ships that eject bombs on Star Destroyers. Holy S, that was literally the first thing that he came to me saying, what's with them actually having bombers that drop bombs? Okay, us playing TIE Fighter, there is something called heavy space bombs that, well, I guess because it was limited polygons, they're basically like octagonals with like connectors on them. Yeah. They move very, very slowly, but the payload they pack is devastating. But you don't drop them like that. Like, are those things got like their own gravity well or something like that?
I had a huge problem with that.
I always use the heavy rockets.
And like with the descent of the bombs.
Yeah.
And then I found a precedent for it in the original trilogy.
Really?
So, in episode 6,
yes,
when they fly into the asteroids and they're hiding in the asteroid belt,
yes,
TIE bombers are flying over the asteroid vertically bombing.
That is true, but the asteroid has its own gravity well, so it would be pulling it down to that.
Yeah, so I still hate it in the new movies, but I was like, well, it's happened before.
Right, but like Star Destroyers, and if it was an interdictor has a gravity well, so that would make sense for that. But I guess that'd be an Imperial 3 or 4. I don't even know what its designation is. Oh, I'm sorry, it was a Dreadnought. But, like, those things shouldn't have their own gravity well. There would be artificial gravity on the inside of the thing to keep people on the floor.
So why does the asteroid have a gravity well?
Things have mass. Mass has gravity pulling itself towards the center. The bigger it is, the more it would pull. But I would have to presume that the bombs that they're dropping are being shot downward because they have that little arm that the things hit. I would presume that there's some mechanism that's forcing them down, because we would know with missiles they get loaded and then shoo, the propellant, the accelerant ignites and then shoots the thing. But you know what, you were very close. But you know that would have been plausible. But
I mean, I still think, like,
damn it,
you know, but you know that just
the Death Star had enough gravity to pull in ships. That was a tractor beam. The Falcon got captured by a tractor beam from a ridiculous distance away, but considering how big it is, I guess it's not that far-fetched.
Come on.
no, but like that. Just...
No, Star Destroyers do not have their own gravity wells. Interdictors do, but they're a much smaller ship. They're about, what, a 2/3 the size?
There's
third of the size.
There's the I-3 and 4 class, and then below that, there's the class I can't remember.
The Victory class.
Victory class,
which
and then,
was it's supposed to be the ship that was used in the Clone Wars. They look similar, but they're not exactly the same.
And then interdictors are smaller than the Victory class.
Yeah, and their sole purpose was just to have those gravity wells to make a hyperdrive system think that they were close enough by a planet that they could not jump into hyperspace. It was to prevent ships with hyperdrives from escaping a combat zone.
And consequently, they were more vulnerable.
But yeah, like bombers actually dropping bombs, and actually the whole thing of her, like, it gave you no indication of that. Like, if she fell and she was like grabbing her back and she's like, oh, you know, like acting like she's paralyzed from the leg down or something like that, or like, you know, that she couldn't climb back up the ladder. She's just lying there kicking the thing for like 5 minutes, trying to get it to knock over. And it was like, I get it, you're supposed to be dramatic. This is not dramatic. This is frustrating. Because everybody's getting blown to shit, and you mean to tell me that one ship had enough payload to destroy that dreadnought by itself?
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, you and I both know it takes more than just one proton torpedo to take out a Star Destroyer. You know?
Yeah, and like, those things were like made out of paper mache. A B-Wing can take more punishment than one of those. A TIE fighter flying into one of those bombers destroyed 3 other bombers.
Yeah, that was...
shrapnel.
Yeah, just...
I mean, it's just like... They're like...
That was dumb.
Pathetically designed.
And you know, that was almost as dumb as that that Hammerhead Corvette in Rogue One that pushed that one Star Destroyer into another Star Destroyer. Yeah. It's like, homeboy, they don't have those things just parked with their shields off. You know, like, that thing is not going to cut into it like that. No matter, short of it dropping out of hyperspace, there's no way that was going to happen. Because that was frustrating. Boy.
What are people saying? Well,
most of them were quoting movie stuff when we were talking about other stuff earlier. You think Disney would be interested in making the Old Republic era movies so the MMO can make money, which would funnel back to Disney? Like, okay, so like we were like talking about like subtlety earlier, and I'm completely cool with the character of Rey. I think she's exactly the injection that we need. I just don't think they've handled her character very well, you know. And it's also giving something that young girls can look up to, and she's cool enough. You know, oh, I shouldn't say cool enough. She's like a relatable character that boys can look up to as well. But, you know, you want to talk about, like, and we talked about it briefly yesterday, there was a series of books that Dark Horse published under the Star Wars label called Tales of the Jedi. And Disney, and since it takes place all before The Phantom Menace, they could just go to town with those movies and not worry about screwing up any continuity at all. You could have the rise and fall of the Sith Empire, the fall from grace of Exar Kun, and you want to talk about a new protagonist for the young girls to look up to in the future? Her name is Nami Sunrider, and that would have been badass to see her grace the silver screen, but guess what? It's never gonna happen. Like, seriously, there were so many Tales of the Jedi books written, they could have had the next 40 years covered with those movies, and I doubt anybody would have gotten tired of those. But no! It's potential that's squandered because I'm guessing they don't want to pay royalties to the original authors.
They can't. They would spend so much less money on what they've spent now.
Yeah, but they're also the same company that fired James Gunn because he made a joke in poor taste 10 years ago. What? Did that count?
Nope.
Stripes! That was weird. Okay. So, I mean, like, yeah, they fired the director of Guardians of the Galaxy and Guardians of the Galaxy 2 because he made a joke in poor taste on Twitter like 10 years ago. And they've publicly said we're not hiring him back. And they're doing it out of pure ego because Disney doesn't want to, you know, say that they're wrong. But people are not going to stop this ad campaign to bring him back. And I got damage from I don't even know what.
Is this homing thing?
Sucks. But you know, they're derailing that whole franchise out of pure ego. But I don't know if bad press is going to be enough to get them to change their mind. Disney has infinite money, just buy out the publishers. You think they would.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
You know, I mean, seriously, like, cut a check to Timothy Zahn, make the Heir to the Empire movies, just CG all the actors, you know, pass the torch to the next generation, you know, throw I wouldn't say a pity check because Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, and Mark Hamill aren't exactly hurting for money, but say, like, here's a check because we're using your likeness. You know, if you want to voice the characters, you get the right of first refusal. You know, like, make them involved. You know, like, even Peter Mayhew is still playing Chewbacca in scenes where it doesn't require great deal of physical exertion, because I've met him before. He is every bit as tall as you think he is, even with the costume off. Because I asked him if I could get I got a picture of him sitting down, and even sitting down, he's taller than me. But, like, I asked him, I was like, hey, can I get a picture of us standing next to each other? I was like, don't even bother, son. I won't even fit in the frame if you turn the camera sideways. You know, he's like 7'2". He's like Andre the Giant big. So, you know, like, but his knees are real bad because, you know, it's finally caught up to him. So he's gone through a bunch of surgeries and even did a documentary on his journey of recovery. But, you know, they still invited him to come back and reprise the role for scenes that weren't physically strenuous because he's the original Chewbacca, and then they, like, handpicked some, you know, kid from the NBA to be Chewbacca in the scenes where he needed to run.
Fair enough.
So, you know, that's how you gently or gradually pass the torch to a new generation of actors. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, because there was an interview that Mark Hamill did back in, like, the spring of '83 to promote Return of the Jedi, and it's, like, predicting the future here. You know, he said, like, George said to me, would you be interested in reprising the character of Luke being the next Obi-Wan to pass down Excalibur to the next generation? And he was like, oh gosh, you know, that's a big responsibility. When would that happen? Oh, 2011. And he was like, whoa, you know, it'd be nice to have a job lined up, but I don't know where I'm going to be in my life by then, you know? It's like, well, to think of it, he missed it by 4 years. But, you know, it's just, hell, they're getting ready to buy Fox just to get the X-Men and Fantastic Four back. Yeah. I know they really want the X-Men, like, super bad. I just don't know where the Fantastic Four is going to fit into that cinematic universe because of, like, there's been now 4 bad Fantastic Four movies. One never actually made it to theaters because there was a spend the money and get the project done, and it only exists in VHS bootlegs that have been leaked out on the internet. And it turns out that one was actually better than the one that got released in theaters in 2004. And then there was the god-awful sequel, The Rise of the Silver Surfer. And then there was the reboot from like a couple years ago that nobody liked, that actually had Michael B. Jordan, who would go on to be Killmonger in Black Panther. you know, when they announced the crew for Black Panther and Michael B. Jordan was on stage saying, now it feels good to be a part of the good Marvel movies. It's just really stick it to how poorly Fox mismanaged the Fantastic Four. You know, like, the only good things that, like, Fox has done with, like, their use of the Marvel license was...
I thought they owned Fox except for Fox News.
The deal just got signed, like, very recently. They own everything except for Fox News. Like, Trump actually called up Robert Murdoch to ask him, like, am I gonna still have a place to go? And it's like, no, they're not getting Fox News, they're just getting everything else. So, like... So, Fox has made a bunch of X-Men movies, 4 bad Fantastic Four movies, and 2 Deadpool movies.
So, I forget the legislature from the 19th century. Just take this somewhere else.
Okay, sure, yeah, no problem.
Whoa! That prevents monopoly. I can't...
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of, like...
What's that called? It's the something Act.
I don't remember what it is, but I know what you're talking about, and people were actually bringing this to congressional attention that Disney would have a media monopoly by owning all the Fox properties, and it got seen and it got dismissed almost instantly.
Really?
And here's the most interesting part about it. No lobbyists from Disney were seen on the premise when this happened. So there's a joke going around that the judge was a big Marvel Comics fan and dismissed it, but there's no way to prove that.
Yeah, I mean... Deep State.
Yeah. You know, Kevin Smith had a movie called Red State.
Yeah,
it was
the Disney.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, but this...
Big media.
Yeah, but this is funny that, like, Disney now owns, like, Family Guy and The Simpsons and...
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they got all that now. Oh, the little rock dude spits out the homing thing. So I gotta boop him and run. Oh, see, I thought those were getting shot out of the ceiling.
Yeah, when he dies.
Oh, that is so unbelievably cruel. No, 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 no. Yes, 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 yes. No! No!
Was that the last round?
That was the... I think that was it. Oh, God damn it! No! I gotta do it again. Oh well. Antitrust laws. That's what Chomp says.
The Antitrust Act.
Yes. Also funny, Marvel killed off the X-Men in the comics to restrict Fox from having to... Yeah, exactly, like...
There's no more comics?
Well, okay, so they killed off the X-Men in the comics, so it would lower Fox's ability to draw in a new audience, like, oh, they're making a movie off that comic book that I read. You know, like, so, you know, so, and they did the same thing with
people read comics that much these days.
Right, so they had this big life-changing event in the universe. They killed off the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, Deadpool, like, pretty much any of the properties that Marvel did not own in the television or movie business. And they replaced them with, like, spin-offs of those characters that were similar but not the same. So instead of the mutants, you had the Inhumans.
Oh, lame.
And they had the Inhumans had a TV show too. Men. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, but now it's they're going now with the way everything is gone in Infinity War. We're trying to figure out, is this going to be the opportunity to have them introduce the X-Men, like, in a post-credit scene to acknowledge their existence in the cinematic universe now, or something like that? Because, like, in Spider-Man: Homecoming, you gotta... Well, actually, I can go even further than that. In Iron Man 3, Tony's having post-traumatic stress from the events of the first Avengers movie. He has a panic attack when a kid asks him how he survived the wormhole. So you had a callback to another movie. And then you had in Captain America: Civil War, you had a callback to the second Avengers movie. And then in Spider-Man: Homecoming, you had a callback to the first Avengers movie. You know, like, all these events are interconnected. So, like, I'm wondering if, like, Deadpool's gonna do a walk-on in the post-credit scene, like, hey, I'm here. Oh, that means if he's here, that means the mutants are here. And then you're gonna be like, you know, there's gonna be some you know, X-Men movies like what the X-Men were doing while everybody else was off on another planet, you know, or something like that, you know?
Yeah, like, the last movie I saw with Deadpool in it, he was in this fight on the top of a nuclear power plant on the cooling towers.
Yeah, that was X-Men
caught.
Origins Wolverine, and that sucked. And because of the events of a later X-Men movie called Days of Future Past,
Yes.
those events never happened. So everything that you
it's-
saw in that movie doesn't exist anymore.
Stuff like that just really gets my goat. It's just like, it's like, reminds me of like, lack of planning, like with the Zelda stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh
And
man, like,
it's they got the right actor to play the role as Ryan Reynolds, and they actually got him to come back to play Deadpool in the actual 2 Deadpool movies that have come out over the last 2 years. And there's actually a post-credit. Do you know who Cable is?
no.
Okay, Cable is a guy. He is Scott Summers, Cyclops,
Okay.
and Jean Grey, Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
He is their son, and he is from the future, and he has a time-traveling matrix.
Okay.
So he goes back in time in the second Deadpool movie to go ahead and kill this kid who, because of his existence, a series of horrible events that happen that lead to a lot of mankind dying in the future. So, basic plot, it's the Terminator.
I would approve of it, even if it's just for the wanton murder of children, but, you know, that's a good excuse,
Right.
too.
So, but the best part is Cable's played by Josh Brolin, and I'm like, holy shit. So he's like the best part of the second movie. He's really good. And there is a series of comic books called Cable and Deadpool. So I'm hoping in the sequel, there's a buddy movie because you have the super serious gruff, I can kill anything, Cable, and then there's I don't give a shit Deadpool. Sorry, Brandon.
Watch the language, mister.
The Ryan Reynolds and Cable play off each other brilliantly. So in the post-credit scene, they help fix Cable's time-traveling matrix, and Deadpool's like, I'll be back in 5 minutes. So he's going through time, fixing things like saving his girlfriend and doing other things, and one of them is killing the bad version of Deadpool from that one X-Men movie, like right before it happens, as a callback to say, yeah, I'm sorry I signed up for that.
Superior
so they kill
tech.
him. And then he also kills, as an in-joke to himself, he kills Ryan Reynolds after he reads the script for the Green Lantern. And then he says, "You're welcome, Canada." It was just really funny. Yeah, X-Men Origins Wolverine doesn't exist anymore. But you know what is cool about that? The game that Raven Software made is actually excellent. Go play that. It is actually 8 bajillion times better than the movie. I love the Deadpool movies, but they should stop while they're ahead. I think they could do an X-Force movie because of that post-credit scene where Deadpool goes back and saves that one guy. I have to presume the rest of X-Force is alive, so an X-Force spin-off movie could be good, but I desperately want either a Cable solo film or a Cable Deadpool movie because, like, I can't stress it enough. Josh Brolin as Cable was the best part of that whole freaking movie. He's such a gifted actor, but him playing as Cable was like, holy S, made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up on end. Because, like, the Juggernaut's in it, and I didn't expect it at all.
That's cool.
It really is, and he's like, how the F am I supposed to kill this guy? Because he's not trying to stop him. He's like, I'm going to friggin' kill this guy. And they shove an electric cable up his ass. It's really funny. Like Colossus.
So they kill the Juggernaut?
No, they don't kill him because like he's
the Juggernaut.
Exactly. It's like short of like ripping the jewel out of his body. That's pretty much the only way you can kill the Juggernaut because Cable knows he's gonna have to like reach inside of him to do that. But that the jewel's in his stomach. So like how you gonna reach through his? You gotta get him to open his mouth and all that stuff.
Yeah,
so Colossus
rip him
shows
open.
up and Colossus is like, pick on someone your old size, and the two are just beating the ass out of each other, and it's awesome. And Cable just like takes down Powerline and shoves it right up his ass.
Yeah.
So he's immobilized. It's like, yo, we need to get out of here while I figure out a way to kill this guy. Because, like, you know, the only person that killed the Juggernaut is Onslaught.
Yeah,
Could Thanos rip the stone from the Juggernaut? With all the Infinity Stones, I'm pretty sure he could. Or Infinity Gems or whatever they're called. But yeah, you can't stop the Juggernaut, bitch. You can.
what's the old saying? Shoot first, think later.
shoot first, ask questions later.
Ask a question.
That's pretty much Cable, because he's a time traveler. He's done all of the research. He knows how it's all going to end, so he doesn't have to ask questions.
Well, I feel
he
like-
can shoot first.
Well, I was thinking more in this reboot stuff that I don't like. It's just like,
yeah.
produce movie first, reboot later. You
Right,
know, it's
and-
just like it. I find it so lame.
Right, because like Fox went in with like, well, if it does well, we'll make a sequel. And like when Disney bought Marvel, they're like, we're gonna make a movie, but we're also planning for sequels, so we need to make sure everything works now. And that's why all of their movies are such high quality, because like there's been 18 comic book movies produced by Marvel Studios since Disney acquired them. 18 since 2008.
Wow.
I am not tired of any of this because they're so well handled. There hasn't been one that I would say, yeah, that one's outright bad. I haven't walked out of the theater thought like, yo, I wasted my time. You know, like I haven't had that experience, but like, you know, I swore that I was not going to see another X-Men movie after X-Men Origins Wolverine. I was not going to pay for it because I was that heartbroken. It was so bad. The best part of that movie was the opening montage. It was that movie with the fake Deadpool in it. But the opening montage of Sabretooth and Wolverine going through different points of history, viewing the conflicts from their eyes, that was the best part of the movie to me. Everything else sucked.
I vaguely remember anything. What's the movie where Wolverine's in Hiroshima when it gets bombed?
That would be The Wolverine. And I've seen that one, and that one was pretty okay.
Yeah, it was on the better side of mediocre.
Yeah, exactly. Because
It wasn't great.
No, it wasn't, but it was definitely better than X-Men Origins Wolverine. And it introduced the Silver Samurai, which was cool, but not the Silver Samurai that I was expecting, which is a huge letdown because there's a whole story about him that, like, he wants to, like, date his daughter, and he feels that Logan, because he's a gaijin, he's not honorable, and he asks to duel him with steel, and he hands him a wooden sword instead, which is an insult, you know, and then, like, it's so much better in the comics, and there's no reason why they couldn't have done that, because they were like, well, it's already 1945, they're already playing with time to begin with, you know, because, you know, why not? And they didn't do that, but it was on the better side of mediocre. And then that's when they started to get better again. When they passed it off to another director, and they did an X-Men movie set in the '60s called Days of Future Past, where they find out about the Cuban Missile Crisis and they're trying to stop it.
Yeah, I remember liking that.
That one was good.
I remember for bad reasons.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I was like, man, some of these mutants have lame powers. And then, like, they get killed.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
It's like people I don't like die.
Yeah, and then after that, there was the other movie, Days of Future Past, which is an adaptation of a X-Men comic arc of the same name called Days of Future Past. I think it was released, I think the year we were born, 1984. Basically what happens is that Kitty Pryde gets sent back in time to prevent Mystique the Shapeshifter from assassinating someone, which would lead a chain of events, which would lead to government sanctioning of the Sentinel program and hunting down mutants to the brink of extinction. In the Fox-produced movie, they send Wolverine back because Wolverine's the super popular guy, so we gotta have it be about him. And it ends up still being a very good movie and gets a lot of the plot points to the right place. And then there was X-Men Apocalypse, where they actually fight Apocalypse. I don't know how that one turned out, but I just remember the consistency of saying it's a fun movie, but the special effects are really bad. Which is really disappointing, because that's half the fun of going to an X-Men movie, is seeing the interpretation of their mutant powers and what the visual effect would be. So, I mean, I don't know. Can Silver Samurai's tachyon field cut through adamantium? Well, apparently it can in the Wolverine, which is BS. But no, it shouldn't. It shouldn't have been able to, and that was dumb. Got X-Men Apocalypse and Logan sitting on your Voodoo account. Haven't seen them. That was another thing, like, huge... Oh, the game crashed. I guess it didn't like me quitting and restarting the mission over and over again. What time is it? Holy yes. Okay, we got like 15 more minutes and then I gotta go to bed. I can't believe I spent all night. We better get in the next 15 minutes, otherwise I'm gonna be pissed. Because
Yeah, you might just have to let this one cool off and come back to it.
yeah, because I gotta wrap this up because in the 5-year anniversary, they remade the DuckTales game on the NES.
Oh.
And on the 360 back in 2013, they called it DuckTales Remastered. They hired a very talented studio called Way Forward to do it. Capcom published it. And here's the best part. They got all the original voice actors from the cartoon to voice everybody.
And it uses the theme song?
Yep.
Oh.
And it is incredible. So on... it came out on kind of an awkward day, September 11th.
Oh.
Yeah, but on the 11th of September, as I like to phrase it, to avert anybody, I'm going to be revisiting that because I played it when it came released, but it's such a cool game to do that. But the most memorable thing about it is the guy who plays Scrooge McDuck is a guy named Alan Young.
Yeah.
He was 98 years old when he reprised the role.
No way.
That was the last thing that he did before he left us. That's his legacy.
Yeah.
He was Scrooge McDuck.
We might solve a mystery or rewrite history. DuckTales, woo!
Watching
that.
that,
I mean, like that is that song's so memorable.
it is, and that was afternoons at Nana's
Yeah.
after school.
Or Muppet Babies will make your dreams come true. Muppet Babies will do the same thing for you. When your room looks kinda weird and you wish you weren't there, just close your eyes and make believe and you can be anywhere.
Yeah,
Muppets, Muppets, Muppets.
it's so good.
Yeah, there's some catchy tunes to them.
Yeah, they really tried back then, and you know what it was? Reagan deregulated television marketing in the 80s. So they were like able to actually make television programs to cater specifically towards children, which opened the doors to marketing of toys. So they wanted to write something catchy that would get stuck in your head, but you know, like I've said it before, we didn't grow up in a unprivileged household. Our parents made sure that, you know, like we got what we wanted on our birthdays and Christmas, but like when there was a toy on TV, we had to wait, you know, to 2 points in the air. So like we just enjoyed it for the art form. It was just a catchy song, and then Brad had like every toy in the world because Jackie and Carl got him everything. But oops.
Well, except for like the time I got in trouble because for Brad's birthday I gave him the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles motorcycle.
Yeah.
With Donatello, and it had like the trash can sidecar. I thought it was so cool. At the end of his birthday party, I put it in my backpack, even though it was my present to him, and took it home. Oh, I got in trouble for that. That's pretty shallow.
Yeah. Well, you know, that was at that same...
I was also 5 years old.
Yeah, and you know, that's also interesting that you remember that. That was actually the first time you and I had pepperoni pizza and Pepsi.
I remember.
Yeah. We were...
And also those kind of wafer cookies with like vanilla in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
Like
the little sandwich wafers.
Yeah.
Oh, my chocolate's my favorite one.
Yeah.
Remember owning Castle Grayskull? I had He-Man action figures. I never had Castle Grayskull. And the He-Man action figures that I had were actually the reboot.
By the power of Castle Grayskull,
I have the power!
Or whatever, yeah.
Yeah. David Tennant as Scrooge McDuck in a game needs to happen. Yo, I want that. You know, there you go. Like, have them DuckTales remastered, but use the voice cast of the new show. They have a new DuckTales with a new cast and everything, and it's really good. Like, really freaking good. Like, they just introduced Magic and Dispel in the season finale and all this stuff, and they actually have David Tennant, an actual Scotsman, voicing Scrooge. And it's really, really cool because David Tennant, to the rest of the internet, is actually the 10th Doctor from Doctor Who. So that show already had street cred before it even got started, that they got a big name like that. But they gave, and then Disney did the smartest thing in the world. They gave away the first 50-minute episode for free on their YouTube channel. And I was like, yo, I'm hooked. Because it uses the same theme song, but all new voice acting, and like, and here's the really interesting part. Donald was in DuckTales, but very sparingly because he was in what? The Navy.
Yeah.
That's why Huey, Dewey, and Louie ended up at Uncle Scrooge's house.
Yeah.
He's a single dad in this, just like he was, but he needed Scrooge to babysit them because he had to go in for a job interview, so he was calling in a favor.
Yeah.
Apparently, him and Scrooge had a big falling out several years ago in one of their adventures, and it gets explained over the course of the season, and they eventually, mend the broken bridge and everything. But, like, Huey, Dewey, and Louie don't know that Donald is related to Scrooge until they get there, and they're like, what? So they're like, they're asking for ice cream, bikes, and Scrooge is like, no. So it's like, you get to see that development of his character, of having humanity, of having other people in his life again. It's all really, really, really cool, and it's actually inspired by the Uncle Scrooge comics rather than the old cartoon. His costume is different, his attitude is different, his approach on adventuring is different.
Does he still swim in
the money bin? Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
okay. Well,
Yeah,
that's
watch
cool.
it. Yeah, watch your foot. You just bump the tripod. But yeah, there's like it's familiar but fresh at the same time because they're taking ideas from the comic rather than just doing a one-to-one copy of the old cartoon, because they could have done that and called it a day, but they're implementing a lot of neat, fresh ideas to it, which is why I'm so, like, if the instant that hits Netflix or Blu-ray or whatever, I'm like, I'm all in, because it's only on cable right now, and it was just like, well,
See, that's what's called progressive writing, where you synthesize differing historical approaches. Yeah, so you're taking the comic book, you're taking the theory, the comic book, you're taking the series, and you're like to create something that takes a little bit of both, but something new.
The McDuck Family versus Magic and Dispel was good. Awesome. I wish I could jump in the promotional money bin like Andre the Black Nerd. Andre's so good. Like, that dude got hit with the lucky stick so hard. Like, seriously. And it was an absolute pleasure and honor that he was at all the SGC reboots. Like, especially when he would dress up as Reggie Fils-Aimé. So, Nintendo has one of the most likable presidents they've ever had in the history of ever. He gets it. He's a meme on the internet. He's a real nice guy. He actually was the CEO of Pizza Hut at one point. He was actually responsible for the Bigfoot pizza, if you remember that.
Yeah.
But now he's the president of Nintendo of America, and he introduces himself on the stage of E3. It's like, hi, my name is Reggie, and I'm about kicking ass, taking names, and we at Nintendo are about making games. This is how he introduced himself. I'm about kicking ass. Nintendo said a swear word at their own press conference. 14 years later, Nintendo's on top of the world again. It's all about leadership. So, like, he's all like doing this, that, and the other, and it's just crazy what they're doing. I forgot why I brought him up, but it's still neat.
It was something versus something.
Something versus something. Oh, Reggie, right? Because Andre Meadows would get put on a sport coat, and he would pretend to be Reggie, and it was just like, you have like the chillest guy on YouTube being the chillest guy in the corporate world. It was just the funniest thing, because it's like his timing and his delivery of the lines was like spot on. You just close your eyes and you really thought it was him. My body is Reggie. You have like Andre with the super accurate portrayal of Reggie, and then you have Nicholas Kramer as like the off-the-wall caricature of Reggie. Nick Kramer is a writer for Screw Attack, and they would do this thing, like back when they used to go out to E3 every year, they would have what's known as the E3 Roundtable, and everybody in the office would pick a name of a industry leader out of a hat, and then they would have to go to the makeup closet and then like make a costume to look like the character with the name that they drew. And for Nick, it was just super easy. He got Reggie, and he was like, I'm just going to put on an oversized sports coat, and I'm going to talk really dramatic and make perfect eye contact with the camera. And then he's like, in 1 year, Reggie just said, my body is ready. So Nick said, my body is Reggie, and the internet's just run with that ever since. My body is Reggie. Come on. One more. Okay. Get some distance. We got it. We got it. We got it.
No way.
Give me my goddamn achievement! I'm now the mayor of Paintown, bitch. Yeah! Lucky's going to Wrigglemania! Awkward placement of heart pickup. Gee, would you look at the time? Oh, it's always... And then the system crashed. Guess what? I got the achievement. They can't take it away from me. Of course, it's always the last one.
And then I spilled a drink on it.
So, we should probably talk about this just so
you
everybody
talk
knows
about
what's
it,
talking
so.
about. So, it's Sunday. My heart is shaking right now because I was like, is this really happening on the last one before we sign off? So, Anthony's been staying over from Canuckistan for almost 2 weeks now. It's been super cool because, like, he's up there, I'm down here, so it's like whenever he's down, just come on over. You know, I got the air bed still inflated from when you left Vinny, so he's been crashing there. And he comes downstairs, and I guess he went to like Subway for lunch or something like that. So he's come down here and I'm talking, and it's like time to set up for like Shelby. And I'm like moving all the stuff over to the other side of the room, and I'm moving the studio lights over there and over there. And this is why we got so late started on Sunday. I'm bringing the green screen over, the retractable one, and I accidentally hit his drink and cola just went everywhere. So, yeah, we weren't even... It's like...
It was bad news.
It was like, before, like, I'm freaking out, saying words like drat and fiddlesticks and like darn it, and it was just, yeah, it was a big whoopsie daisy. So, we think it missed the Elgato. It did, thank God. It got on the HDMI cables, but that was easily clean. But like before I could even piece myself together to like get towels and stuff, this dude, like the badass that he is, took his friggin' shirt off and started sopping everything up with that. So yeah, that's sourdough crust is where it's at. I'm glad you like it, Mushi. Where's Gangs in New York at? I need to do that this weekend, gosh darn it. Because Tabitha's picking up an S-load of overtime, so I might not even see her on Saturday. I might be able to just grab dinner with her on Friday. So, yeah, but yeah, that's why we keep making allusions to sodas and spills, and is this okay? Because I was like, I was a grumpy Gus for about 20 minutes. You were about as cool as the other side of the pillow. So, you know, it was,
yeah, I've never heard you scream and cuss like that.
Yeah, because I was like, great. But it was like, everything's fine. Everything's fine. It was...
It'd be like if you spilled a drink on my loot. You know, it'd be...
Oh, that would have been bad.
I mean, that's the way I viewed it. I was like, yeah, I totally get it.
Yeah, but well, yeah. But thank goodness everything worked out fine. As you can see, everything's working as it should. But yeah, no, that's the little joke we're making too. Long and short of it is like, when I move out of here, I mean, like, I'm gonna have to shampoo the carpet anyway, so it's not like it's a big deal. You know, this place has been thoroughly lived in for a while. Time to watch the Star Wars movies and complain. Here's the thing. If you're gonna complain about it, be constructive, like we have been, and try to say what you would do to make it better. Don't be like some people on YouTube or Twitter or whatever your social media platform or preference is. Don't get on there and just go there and just have a bitch fest. Don't do that. That just adds to bad noise on the internet. Be constructive. Talk about what you would do to make it better. So that way you're being a part of the discussion and the solution, and hoping that maybe some producer or director or screenwriter saw your tweet, your post, your reblog, whatever, and maybe they will incorporate that idea into the product. I tweet at developers all the time about video games saying, like, why this, not that? And some of them say, yo, we didn't even think of that.
Yeah, and also, like, when they get so angry and mean-spirited, you aren't...
Be like Andre! Exactly, word man. I'm sorry, go ahead.
You aren't building any bridges. Like, let's... like, one of the things is just, like, I find some of the approaches that they take in the new films insulting to me. That's this, insulting to our collective intelligence. And that's the strongest language I'll use. Because, if you go about attacking, like using strong language and attacking a movie that other people like, you aren't going to build a bridge. Mm-hmm. And not to get corny, but like, Luke Skywalker provides the best example of this. It's just like, in the Return of the Jedi, he states his point. Like, this is why I'm not going to join the dark side. And he puts down his lightsaber. Mm-hmm. And instead of continuing to fight and being aggressive, he states his point. He says, this is why I'm doing this. And then he achieves the desired effect of turning his father, not through aggression. Mm-hmm. So if you're like one of those commentators that are just screaming in anger and then like saying that, like the problem with the movies are social justice warriors, then you're burning bridges, you're being aggressive. But you follow that example of like using well thought out argument, to why, not argument like arguing, but a thesis, and then like you can be a lot like Luke,
Yeah, there you go. The way to bring it back around in a very positive way.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and isolate the audio of that because that's actually brilliant.
Oh.
Link it to your YouTube channel and all that fun stuff. Very quickly, let's go over deals. Yeah, $2 Game Pass. If you want in on that, get it so we can have more people playing Doom 2016. Remember, everybody, to tweet politely at Bethesda and id and say, yo, fix the matchmaking. I don't want to be Luke. I want to be like the Joker. Well, that's not going to work. You want to have an abusive relationship for... I'm going to make this pencil disappear. It's gone. I went to that movie to see Batman be badass, and I was like, yo, the Joker's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, whoops. Not really cheering for the bad guy, but just completely entranced by freaking Heath Ledger's performance. Wow.
I also very much enjoyed the portrayal of Bane.
Yeah.
Did he die too? I can't remember.
Catwoman totally straight up shot him.
I can't remember.
Which is like my only big, like, I the way it like goes for me is like Batman Begins #3, The Dark Knight #1, Dark Knight Rises #2. Only because, well, not only because like The Dark Knight's just a brilliant movie, but The Dark Knight Rises, you're getting this big, awesome confrontation between Batman and Bane, and the way Batman beats him in the comic book, he outsmarts him into thinking that he doesn't need the Venom. And that's how he's able to overpower him. Well, they don't have the Venom in the movie, so how do you overpower him? You really don't, so you're going to have to, like, he's going to have to use his gadgets, he's going to have to do some trick or explosives or something. Now Catwoman just shoots him. I was just like, that's kind of anticlimactic.
Oh, well.
Yeah, it was just too bad. It was like, you never really got, like, you were robbed of the rematch. And it was a callback to...
shoots him with a motorcycle, maybe?
Yeah,
yeah. That's what it was.
Yeah, just straight up shoots it with, like, a 20mm cannon, or whatever it was. Because, like, there was a whole exchange early on that Batman says to Catwoman, we don't use guns. And then she shoots him and says, what was that about not using guns? I was just like, come on. That was like the only jive point of the movie to me. So anyways, I already have it. This game gets routinely marked down to $10 for whatever reason. This is a brilliant game. It is an action RPG. It is Xbox One X enhanced, if I'm not mistaken. Even if it's not, get it. It is awesome. It has co-op, and there's a sequel on the way. but it's on there for $10. Go ahead and get it. I know that's what it is, even though it says I own it. It's because I know it's $10 because it keeps going on sale for that. Watch out for the second one. It was on PC. It's getting ported to Xbox. It looks brilliant. Burnout Paradise remastered. If you somehow don't have this on 360 and the 360 version is backward compatible, you can go and get that. If it was $10, I'd say be all over it, but whatever. All right, good night, Mushi. Good night, Gamer Daddy. They're husband and wife, so they're very nice.
Are they on their own respective computers?
I would have to assume so.
Yeah.
They're down in Richmond. That's why they were talking about sourdough crust and bottoms up pizza.
Bottoms up pizza.
Yeah. And we got the horror bundle over here. So what's in this? Paranautical Activity. That's actually really cool. Uncanny Valley. That's actually... Oh, Slane's in this? Okay, that's actually worth it. Get this. Get this bundle. This is actually really... Paranautical Activity is actually really good. Slain Back from Hell is actually really good ever since it... Like, Slain was originally on Steam, and it sucked. And then he ported it to Xbox as Back from Hell, and he fixed everything that was wrong with it, and now it's awesome. It's basically like Castlevania Symphony of the Night, except it's like heavy metal. So it's actually really cool, with a great soundtrack. The guy who made the game also composed the music. Ink looks interesting. It's a color platformer. But you know, it's you're using color to navigate and change things that you can touch too. So I mean, that's interesting. Yes, Crypt of the Serpent King, my beloved Crypt of the Serpent King is $1. Get it? The best, worst, best game I've ever played in my life. Nightmare Boy, I believe it's $5. I don't understand why it only has 2.5 stars, but that might be why that only 4 people have bought it. Because you can only leave a review if you've bought the game. So I have to assume at most minimum only 4 people have got it, because those are only the 4 people that have left a review. By the way, if you do buy something you like it, actually leave a review, because it's actually important to the next person that comes along. I'd buy that for $1.
I'd buy that for $1.
I need isolated audio of Bixby Snyder from RoboCop 1. I need that for the meme deck so I can just press. I'd buy that for $1. That's great.
Are these all open?
These are empty. I'm gonna get Daniel Day-Lewis as Butcher, Bill the Butcher from Gangs of New York, saying "Whoopsie Daisy, now it's good and broke," or "good and broke now," or whatever the line is. Because I've been saying that ever since I wrote my paper about that. Actually, the actual book, Gangs of New York, is actually like almost like a police account of all the gangs that were in the 5 boroughs, the 5 points. And then, what's the director? Goodfellas, Casino.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Oh my God. Italian dude. Martin Scorsese.
Yeah.
He got a hold of this and said, "Oh my God, this Bill the Butcher guy is absolutely insane. I need to make a movie about this." And then he got Daniel Day-Lewis, who of course is a character actor, and he was completely submerged in the character, and woo! So yeah, but this it's a side scroll.
How many? 1, 2, 3, 4,
5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. So
you need to get the theme from Tchaikovsky's Romeo and Juliet on here. Isn't
that public domain too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For like when you get an achievement or some characters or like
the Terminator theme. Yeah. So, anyways, Nightmare Boy, get it. I don't know what this is, but the dude's like David Letterman, I think. I don't know.
Parodying him.
I guess so. It's like, hey, he's wearing loafers and everything, and oh, there it goes. Oh, it's the Wolf of Wall Street with lasers. Oh no! You're the newly appointed CEO of Volstead. What is this? What? This doesn't look out. You're building a fleet in space? Oh my God. Are you running a space station too? That's what it looks like. Oh, that's interesting. I'm going to have to look that up. That's okay. Heart and Slash, action platformer. Get it. Anorexia. I don't know why it's so low on there, but like you're a scuba diver finding underwater artifact. Think The Abyss, but a point-and-click adventure game. It's cool. Get it. I don't know why the pages are taking so long to load tonight. I guess the internet kind of sucks. Coffin Dodgers. It's Mario Kart with old people, and you're trying to outrace the Grim Reaper. It's hilarious. I want to play the Sun G1 Game Day so bad. Please get it. So Many of Me. This was on Games with Gold. I don't know why it has 3 stars. It's cool. Get it. Don't Knock Twice. First-person survival horror game. It looks cool. $7.50 cool? Yeah, I'd say so. Demetrios. I can't get into it. It's a puzzle game, but you know how I feel about those. Super Hyperactive Ninja. It's an action 2D platformer. I don't know why it has 1 star. It looks good, unless if it really sucks when it's in motion. But it looks competent in its level design and everything that I'm seeing here. But for the price that they're asking, I think you could spend a lot worse on a $6.29. But, you know, actually with 1 star, let's see what the actual review is. Because that might provide some insight to why it is, or how many reviews it. Only local co-op. That's unfortunate. Okay, that's weird. Two reviews. Well, it doesn't. The reviews aren't here for some reason. Or maybe somebody didn't leave a comment. Maybe that's what it is. Real heads up, real quick. Epic Mickey is free with gold. Get that. Forza Horizon 2. Y'all need to get on that like ASAP. This game is getting delisted in September. I don't know why they're doing it, but apparently they did the same thing with Forza Motorsport 5 last year. I get it, the game's 4 years old, but still, once this game is gone, all of those Fast and the Furious inspired races are gone along with it, and that's kind of important. Yes, you could get this on physical disc for like pennies on the dollar these days, but get it digitally in the name of game preservation. Alright, real quick, there's a Deep Silver publishing sale that's going on this week. There it is. Let's take a look at that real quick. Yes, Agents of Mayhem is $5. Get it. You can probably get it with all the DLC, too, for that much. Agony, Jim Sterling says this game sucks. It's also way too expensive. No, don't get that. Mighty Number 9, I think it's $3. That's about as much as what I would ever pay for. That game was such a huge letdown. Deadlight Director's Cut. Get it. Dreamfall Chapters. If this is like the point-and-click adventure game Dreamfall: The Longest Journey that was on Xbox 360, get it. I'll have to do some research. I don't know if that's the case, but if it is, get it. Homefront, no. No.
Is that based off the movie?
No. Basically, like, China invades and you're trying to lead a...
Yeah.
Like Red Dawn.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. And that's something... You want to talk about Hollywood not having balls anymore?
No.
The Red Dawn remake? It was supposed to be China invading, not North Korea. And they changed it from China to North Korea because
we don't trade with North Korea.
No, we don't.
We don't care what they think.
Right, but China buys a lot of movie tickets.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of movie tickets. So they were like,
what's interesting then, like,
Communist bastards! Sorry. Not really.
To even, like...
Google! Sorry, what?
Even though North Korea gets beat on in that movie?
Yes, the Metro games, get them! Sorry, I can't believe I just glossed over that.
It shows that, like, Americans standing up to the Koreans in that movie. Yet they didn't hack that movie. Or it was the one that made fun of the dictator? Sony Pictures got hacked.
Oh, yeah.
But they didn't hack that one because it portrays Korea as strong enough to be able to invade the U.S.
Yeah.
And the end isn't decisive in Korean defeat, so...
Yeah, and that's like... I don't like movies like that because I'm having a hard time believing that America would ever be in such a depleted condition that we would get invaded by North Korea.
Yeah.
China seems like a more... reasonable
absolutely.
threat. Russia, back in the day when they were the USSR, credible threat. It's just North Korea. Are you kidding me? No, get out of here.
Yeah, it's kind of like having Canada invade.
Yeah, actually, funny story in the Fallout universe because of China's aggression on Anchorage, Alaska. We actually annexed Canada. Yeah, and to move the supply lines easier because we didn't want to go across the North Atlantic Sea to get to Anchorage. We decided to go ahead and just use the Canadian airspace, but we didn't want to have to keep getting permission to send our planes over there, so we just annexed them, and the United Nations was like, yo, you need to settle down. It's like, we're at war, bitch!
Okay.
So yeah, it's just a funny story about that. Illusions, Tale of the Mind. The art style is very striking to me, but as you can see, there's not a lot going on back here, but I like what I'm seeing. I just don't know anything about it. I mean, look at this. This is beautiful. But it's, you know what my rule is, $10. This is like 13. 14. I'm really gonna have to think about it. But I'm sure if I hold my grit long enough, I can get it for 10. Kana, it's a murder mystery game, first person perspective, very cool. I think it's like $3 at this point. Get it. The Metro games, I know we just said it. Get them both. These are fantastic. Get ready for the new one that's coming out. Mighty Number 9, I told you at $3, get it, whatever. Just don't have any high expectations. This War of Mine, the little ones where you play as the kids, have a box of Kleenexes. The Saints Row games, I shouldn't have to explain this. All of the original ones are backward compatible, and I mean all of them. 1, 2, 3, and 4, plus Get Out of Hell. And then you have Saints Row 4 Re-Elected Edition plus Get Out of Hell. Get them all. Double the Chivos. Whatever. That's good stuff. Nier Automata. Again, you know my rule. $10. That's a good price for a game like that. I'm personally not going to do it. But this is a game that is by Platinum Software. It's Xbox One X enhanced. You could do a lot worse on $38 on games that are in store right now, but this is, if it's within your means, go ahead and get it. I mean, it'll probably be cheaper at Christmas if you can afford to wait, but, you know, that's whatever. The DC franchise, it's basically Injustice. If you liked Injustice, get it. But the Batman Arkham games, yo, if you don't have these yet for some reason, these are stupid cheap. Get them. And I think that's it. So, all right. So that's going to do it. We'll see you back here on Friday for Free Play Friday or TNT. I don't know which yet because I don't know if Tabitha is going to be at the hospital or not, working or not. I played Arkham Asylum just now. Aw, you're killing me, Smalls. Arkham Asylum and Arkham City and Arkham Knight were fan-freaking-tastic. Arkham Origins, on the other hand, was by a different developer, and that was trash. So, alright, that's going to do it. We'll see you here on Friday. We'll go ahead and see you on the flip side. So, that'll do it. We did it. We got the damn achievement. We got one left with Lucky, and then we'll go from there. Care to say goodnight, Anthony?
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody. See you around. Ric Flair, take us home.
Read what you want to read. Believe what you want to believe. But go to bed.
Go to bed. Good night, everybody. Ciao, ciao.